Chapter 91. Half-elves on the verge of success in life, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With some important things to do, we came back to Basun. The Gauntlet Knights, for example, reluctantly accepted the 3-month grace, but it would take a bone to make it back and forth so many times because of the distance across the Snake Mountain Range to return to Renfangas. It seems that they are supposed to stay in the Cherry Blossoms clan as it is. Especially that Gold fellow. It's clear that he has made a fool of himself, so he won't let Diane go so easily, but he can't leave the northern forest without our consent. It seems that there is a meaning of not letting Felios do a bad thing. Then, at the same time as returning to the core building, Diane departs for Harmonium, which is east of Ophiclade. The craft city of Harmonium is the city where the Northern Army Corps HQ is located. I'm getting ready for the next formation. In the end, I have to borrow my father's help, but we have to do it to some extent. I thought of transporting Diane with Maya, but the time it will take was unclear, so Diane left with a carriage. Well, Diane-chan is a child who can walk while sleeping when she feels like it, so she'll be back in less than 2 weeks. Dr. Hilda said that. I think it's a joke, but Diane can't do anything. That's why we'll wait for reorganization, repeating training program, and sometimes do some monster hunting. Celesta's army reorganized their army corps once every 3 to 4 years. Of course, personnel changes every year due to injuries and deaths, personal retirement and ace knight exams, and the whole plan by the design of the general and the marshal class are decided at this time, though a small-scale corps formation is always done. This will set the guidelines for additional units and units to be dismantled. And this opportunity was, of course, a season of promotion. First of all, this time is Isaac's and N0's turn. Isaac, how do you feel? If you become a 100-man commander, you will divide the crossbow corps, but even if our corps is special, after the training, Curran and Williams are talking about rumors while checking the equipment. I also mix in with the story. In the case of Isaac, the formation of an infantry unit is also possible. Well, he grew up as an infantry, but it's too late now. Curran and Williams seem skeptical of Isaac's idea of returning to the assault infantry. Well, Isaac wouldn't want to be an infantry so much. Maybe because Mikagami is stronger, so his shoulders will be narrower. Leaving that aside, N0's, yes, Curran and Williams look at each other and then turn their eyes on me. What is it? No fucking shit. What do you think will happen as her current boyfriend? In what way? Because it's almost certain that she will be a 100-man commander. The command of the escort infantry is probably given to Mikagami, who will rise to a 10-man captain. Mikagami is an ace knight and still a regular soldier. Mikagami, who has only temporarily dropped her class as a screwed-in strategy to follow Isaac, will return to being a 10-man captain on this occasion, since originally it is customary at the time of ace knight assignment to be a 10-man captain. Will do. In that case, it seems that N0's continues to stay in the current class with Diane's regards, as she doesn't want to give over the platoon command to Mikagami. However, if N0's obediently becomes a 100-man commander, N0's, who is originally a genuine infantry, will almost certainly be taken over by the infantry. It means independence from Basun's position, and at least usually she will be forced to separate from us. I wasn't worried about this fact until now. Or more precisely, you are only surrounded by brides, female slaves, a married woman, so why don't you let N0's go? I'd rather have her stick with me or do that kind of service. No, I'll tell you what. N0's is my woman no matter what. Damn it, Smithson is cheeky. Smithson. The two of them jumped at me in an aligned movement. It hurts. Don't kick me, you idiots. Famish child, are you serious about this? It seems that you want to know our seriousness. As the two of them began to approach, taking a suspicious pose, I dashed with all my might. I can get away quickly thanks to the recent foot and body strengthening training. Wait. As it is, I just run to the training ground for the escort infantry. The crossbow shooting training site is located near the barracks, but although there is a danger, it is inconvenient to train swordsmanship there, so the training ground for the infantry is set in a place away from a little. There, the corps of N0s and Aurora were supposed to be training. As I approached the other side of the trees, I was meeting with N0s and Aurora as usual. N0s continued to attack with sharp movements, while Aurora was on the defensive. It's the usual end of training scene. In the early stages of training, Aurora, which can be evenly matched with N0s, loses her audacity and sharpness in motion over time and is ultimately overwhelmed. Aurora is much younger than N0s, and fills the difference of experience with talent and competes with the ability of N0s. It was this difference of stamina that it was not possible to fill only by the senses, though it was indeed possible to say that she was the younger sister of the genius General Lucas. If you think about it, I may not have seen anything that N0s is hiding. Good, let's end it here. N0s stops her attack on Aurora and looks around and says so. The noise is already covered with sweaty dust other than N0s and Aurora, and it can be seen immediately that they had been training hard. Everyone is ready to withdraw. If you've ruined the training field, fill it back and then go back. Understood. Everyone salutes with their right fist on the left chest. And withdrawal begins. When I was timing up to approach them, two shadows approached N0s as if they had been waiting. You can see from a distance that it is an ogre and ox. Ogre. Isaac and Boyd. When the three exchange words in a small voice, or maybe ordinary voice, that can't be heard in the distance, they lightly stare at Aurora that is exhausted and sitting in the shade and walk straight to the depths of the forest. The other members just withdraw. Only Aurora and Mikagami, who seems to be staying with Aurora, are left on the training ground. What? Wait a minute. I feel like I've just washed away something, but it was a very suspicious scene. Both have a lover, but they are two young ogres. Boyd is particularly famous among friends for a while that he loves a human. And going to the mountains in the countryside or going to the forest is also a secret word for male and female actions. I'm worried. No way N0s has an affair. No, I know that she is not a person who will cheat. But, I have memories that she did it as soon as she knew what sex is, and I recently learned that all guys learned about sex, and I tend to leave her in the corps and she is relying on Isaac. Not good. I'm getting more and more anxious. But. No, wait a minute. There is no way that Mikagami will overlook Isaac's cheating sight. Although she might be tired, there is no way she will see Aurora off silently. Maybe there is something. But what? After all, I was troubled. Aurora, Andy.san. For the time being, I was talking to Aurora, who was depressed. I've heard that the training is going on, but if you ask me, it's suspicious. When I told Aurora honestly about my concerns, Aurora looked serious and nodded. To begin with, the sword is, Aurora looked sideways. The practice sword that N0s had used against N0s was stored in the storehouse in the corner of the training ground. Indeed, N0s.san is a real swordsman, while Boyd and Isaac are crossbowers. There isn't much point in training together. Mikagami, who was listening to it, also has a slightly worried face. I have heard that 10-man Captain N0s, though, it is said that she was the only woman other than 100-man Commander Diane and was worshipped as an idol until a while ago. If N0s.san is frustrated, there is no possibility that Boyd or Isaac will know how to act or what to do. The three of us imagine something dark. Not good. I involved Mikagami. And, anyway, there is only that kind of possibility. It seems worthwhile to check it out. I will also cooperate. The three of us united together based on selfish imagination. Mikagami and Aurora followed me to the place N0s and the other two went. Kelly, 10-man Captain Isaac's body odor is easy to understand, and an ogre can't walk without leaving footprints on this soft soil. As expected, a beastman is a natural hunter. I thought it might be awful to the tired Aurora because she followed in a little haste, but Aurora was better than I thought. Aurora seems to be increasing her stamina. And then. The three of us stopped in front of a cliff with reddish soil in the depths of the forest. And Zeros begins to take off weighted leather armor. Below that is only a tank top and hot pants. In a sense, she is pretty defenseless. And Boyd and Isaac also take off the clothes they wore above and get shirtless. After all, they do it. Aurora and Mikagami watch from the shade of the tree with their throats squealing. I was also thrilled. No way. No way. Come, yes, and Zeros beckons Boyd lightly. Boyd with a tense face walks slowly, and suddenly hit Zeros with full power. We look at each other in surprise. As soon as I returned my eyes, Zeros was holding Boyd's fist with both hands. The log-like arm of Boyd and the small arms of Zeros are a combination of jokes when viewed by the side. However, Zeros was a swordsman who originally uses a heavy sword. Her fine arms hide incredible power. Zeros, who received Boyd's punch from the front, jumped sideways to throw away his fist while attacking Boyd. So bat on Boyd's face. Boyd pays for it with his big hand. Zero isn't defeated either. Being swapped away and knocked to the ground, she takes a passive role and stands up quickly and attacks Boyd again, so that a serious fist is exchanged with a scale difference like an adult and a child. We who saw it did not notice that we had already been found. What are you guys doing? When I looked up at once, Isaac had a troubled face near the tree where we were lurking. When I was abducted by the northern elves with Andy before, I realized that I had to fight without a sword. At that time, Apple was there, so I had to follow in the end, but if I could fight like Diane, it might have been a little different. Zeros, who had been blown away many times and was covered in mud by now, said in a resolute voice. So, I'm not frustrated or cheating separately. Sorry, I'm sorry, the three of us bowed down. But why are you with Isaac and Boyd again? Ah, that's me. Boyd raises his hand. Boyd. That, it might be useful for me as well, as I couldn't do something in the battle at Trut the other day, so I've asked 10-man Captain Zeros for help a while ago. I have very little experience in fighting without swords, but if it's a human regular soldier, it would be bad if I hit them with all my might. That's why we've been working together lately, because it's just right for each other's practice. I'm a substitute. Well, I use too much strength when I'm doing my best, but I'm trying to go easy on Zeros. Isaac, if you take the Ace Knight exam seriously, you'll succeed. I wondered if it was a very painful one, Zeros grinned with a slightly bitter face. Sorry, that. I didn't think I was suspected by Rinna. I'm sorry, I was worried because 10-man Captain Smithson said that. Smithson. I'm sorry. Isaac's fingers, sensorily, like a human fist, reach for my head. Boyd and Aurora giggle, while Mikagami smiled. Meanwhile, Zeros was a little angry and she quickly approached me, who was released from Isaac's hands. Idiot, how often do I need to tell you that you can trust me? She pulled my neck and stretched her hips and kissed me with a deep kiss. 10-man Captain Zeros. Bold, I am hugged by Zeros and we are seen by others who are surprised and laugh greatly, while Zeros suck my mouth as I tilt my face to the side and deep inside my mouth our tongues entangled around each other. Zeros leaves my lips after a long, passionate kiss and stares at me with shining eyes while being intoxicated with lust. What if we try to have sex while showing it to Isaac and the others here? I don't mind. Zeros, I'm serious. She kisses me again. Moisten her tongue with saliva. You can always make me a mess. If you doubt my love, it would be better if you put a chain on my collar and raise me naked in your room, or perhaps I should say, do it. It's an extreme thing you say. Zeros hugged me tightly and doesn't part from my side. Even if it is long, she speaks fondly of me. When I thought, Aurora started to smile and tries to drive Isaacs out of the square. Hey, Aurora. Hoo. There's no taste that they just feel so uncomfortable with each other, remember, Andy.san. For an elf, compassion in the woods is more natural than in a canopy, isn't it? And Aurora also began to take off her clothes with an expression stained with lust. Hey. And zeros. San, yup, and zeros also leaves me and undresses oddly. And both are now naked with wearing only their collars. Now, let's get started. How is our collar appearance? The two kneeled on the grass, raised their rumps and buttocks to show off their pussies below. Chapter 92. Half-elves on the verge of success in life, Part 2, and Zero's Aurora. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Two female elves are kneeling on the young grass and lift their soft-looking ass towards me. Hey, Andy, you can put it in right away on one hand, and Zero's is uneasy, on the other hand, Aurora smile with a lustrous smile. They try to seduce my sexual desire with their bodies that have been showing a brave dance until just before. There is little uselessness in their bodies that have been tightened from swordsmanship, yet there is no loss of girlish features. The girls who rejoice in their desire to give in to her and have a desire to give their limbs hide their strength which can break me like a cheap toy and my desire reach its limit. I sigh and lose the belt while being tempted by such girls who are pleased to be devoured by me. The sigh was a bluff to repair the mentality that stood up in strange circumstances, but N0's reacted sensitively and hung her ears and looked at my expression with horror. You, N0's. I don't understand the anxiety and fear contained in the gaze, so I look into N0's eyes. What's the matter? Perhaps, after a little hesitation, N0 sat down and confronted me straight naked. Perhaps, I'm gloomy. Ha! Her hanging ears are a sign of discouragement and anxiety. N0's was asking me so seriously. N0's. San. Aurora, which had been crawling on all fours, also woke up next to us and looked at N0's bewildered. N0 swallowed the spit and put my hand on her not-so-big chest and leaned over me. I know that you like naughty things. And because I'm not good at cooking and sewing, I can't do anything cute. So, even if I want to express that I like you, there is only the art to invite you to have sex with me like this, but I thought it was just too usual for you, so I became depressed, as she said, and N0 shook her small shoulder. She seemed to be terrified of the contradiction of what she was saying rather than because it was cold. She doesn't know the expression of love as a woman except for sex. But maybe I'm tired of it. In other words, it means that N0's love no longer reaches me. Andy, well, what should I do? Anything, I want you to say what I can do, what you want me to do. N0's, shaking her silky long hair, she exposed her gorgeous beauty and her lovely little naked body without hesitation. N0's throws away the anxiety that she doesn't want to be abandoned by me and wants to prove her love to me, so. The figure that focuses on the desire to be loved by the adored partner somehow without calculating how attractive one is itself is nothing other than seizure-like, instinctive psychology unique to half-elves. But N0's, I pat N0's head, touch her as it is and squeezes her ear lightly. Only a bitter laugh comes out. N0's impatience also includes my misunderstanding and shallowness. I've never thought you'd be depressed about me and you'd be so desperate, but, I don't want you to be suspicious. The hand which had been put on the chest is extended to the collar and gripped tightly. You're doubting me, as I haven't had sex with you lately. If I could express that I liked you a lot more, that wouldn't be the case. I apologize for doubting you, but that's not the cause. The real cause is probably not N0's, but my mind. N0's is strong, responsible, cute, and loved by anyone more than Diane. During my previous trip, I was lucky enough to help N0's and we became connected, but I still don't have a clear sense of ownership, like Layla and Selenium, about N0's. There is also a fact that N0's has much more desire than I in this world, and there is also a part that it is pleasant to be able to look at an aptitude that doesn't throw away responsibility alone with N0's. The existence of N0's is a special woman for me on such a mixed relationship, which is why she is attractive and why there is anxiety. It's not that N0's effort isn't enough, I just get lost when I interact with N0's. For better or worse, it was regrettable that N0's, not as a lover or slave, was also attractive as a friend or company worker. However, it is not helped to make N0's uneasy by it. N0's clarified her position and opinion. She said she was going to give everything to me. Then, I'll take N0's hand neatly right now. Marry me, N0's. N0's was puzzled. Next, to her, Aurora also is startled. Ah, Andy.san. I don't know when we're going to have a ceremony, maybe I'm getting married to a lot of people, but, you will be Angelina Smithson, N0's, that is, N0's turns red and turns her face away. If I'm refused, what should I do? It sounds like a word game, but it seems like it's too much now, but this is serious. N0's may become a 100-man commander as it is and have an infantry squad in a distant town. But being my wife who shares the surname with me clearly can be a strong trust. If she doesn't agree with this, I will have to make a great effort to send N0's off. I wanted her to consent by all means even if it was said that it was womanly. After a long, long silence. I don't dislike it, when N0's muttered so, I jumped on N0's with all my delight and pushed her down. Yua. Mao, Andy.san, so, there are no such words for me. Aurora stares at me with her hands on her cheeks, as she is also naked next to me. I'm sorry, Aurora, will you also marry me? Of course. With a smile, Aurora also lays down next to N0's. Then they look at each other and slowly lift one leg. Now, Andy.san. If you want to get married, the best thing to do is to make a reservation. The two hairless genitals open and sparkle with the sunshine. I brightly nod in a hectic, before I dropped my pants and covered those two. The two thighs are put together, the knee is attached and I insert my son into N0's. Hugh, Andy. Finally, I'm fucked. At least I want you to say hold me instead of fuck me, out of the way. I prefer being fucked, but, I agree, the two were slightly perverted. If you just say that, you're going to be a crazy mess like Layla or Hilda.san, with momentum, I take care while holding the two together and slowly moving back and forth inside N0's. But while alternately kissing and licking my lips and cheeks, N0's and Aurora chuckled. Good, that. It's needless with your wife, isn't it? The two were a bit challenging perverts. I don't think I'm going to be a bride. Got you, the threat is strengthened while increasing the speed inside N0's. AAA. Hoo-hoo, it is also love to accept it. Yeah, we're your wives, your female slaves. When we get married, will you get rid of your collars? The two become silent for a moment when they become anxious from my words. No way, it depends on the TPO, the two are somehow obsessed with being female slaves. Why, I am a little troubled while persistently piercing N0's tight vagina. Even, will you be a female slave, for example, if we move to Trot? N0 smiles with a bit of dreadful eyes. Yes, even if Andy.san is going to take a human girl as a wife in that land, I'm not going to give up my love, no, I guess not. Speaking of which, that's why Selenium and Apple have declared to be my female slaves. In the old Trot, elves couldn't do it. There was nothing I could do to hope for a bride, but still, I had to seek for an anti-social relationship such as a female slave if I was to bathe in human love. But I'd rather give up on Trot than give up on you, I don't even need nationality. If it's allowed, we can move into a forest that no one knows. We can go to the forest of the northern elves, beyond the demon territory or to the western continent. Everywhere, N0's, Selenium, Layla, Jean, Diane, I'm confident that I can be happy if everyone is there. Well, even in Celesta polygamy is allowed, but I'm sure I'll settle down in Celesta in the end. That's why. You guys will always be mine. N, N, N. The desire for control and the desire for control of embracing each other. The delight of N0s is transmitted. Under the gentle sunshine, I made a vulgar sound, moved through N0's genital and ejaculated in the back of her small womb. Na, a. Dokutsu, 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 I shot the semen into N0's womb. Seeing Aurora's face who is looking at me with desire, I'm immediately driven by an urge to want to put my penis into this girl too. Aurora's vagina is nearby. I pull out quickly and push my penis which still ejaculated into Aurora's vagina at a stretch. Aurora becomes stiff from the sudden intrusion. At the very bottom of her womb, I keep ejaculating. Well, honestly, it's not a big deal, but I'm ejaculating about a drop, but I'm a little satisfied because the desire to ejaculate selfishly into both of them was satisfied. But A.N.D.Y, by no means, I so much, called extraordinary. Both girls from both sides pulled my cheek with a smile for a moment. I demand a firm seating, don't pull out in the middle of it. Once more, push it to the end and come. Slaves, I guess this is a request. Hey Rine. Please let's return, nah. It's because they showed off, that Carrie.San got an erection which is bad. I think Boyd, who went home so quickly, made the right choice. That's why stop looking, yo, you don't know how intense my estrus pheromone is to me. No, I'm asking you. If you want me to apologize, I'll apologize. But it is not good here, as we might be seen by Smithson and the others. Even if you apologize now, I can't endure it. Bumu. On the way back, the bushes were swaying along with Isaac's characteristic cry. We turned around and decided not to see it. He is a good friend. And I'm going to cherish our friendship. And we can't argue with each other when we talk to each other. When we returned, an officer from the Human Resources Department had arrived. It is an officer in charge of the preliminary investigation before the organization. It is twice the trouble even if it organizes around a person who is going to retire soon, and the role to confirm such a thing is necessary because it might be a front-line officer who sometimes refuses the promotion. I will conduct an interview and survey of those who are planning to be promoted, so please cooperate. The officer turned to N0s with a friendly smile. N0s seems to be promoted as I thought. Are you 10-man Captain N0s? You have been offered a promotion to be a 100-man commander this time, but, do you have any hope of being transferred or retired soon? Sandwiched between me and Aurora, N0s scratched her jaw. Please decline this time, decline. Yes, without any hesitation, N0s heads to the female core building quickly. Hey, N0s. I chase after her. Is that alright? You can be equal to Diane and Mikagami and Bronson are promoted, Kato may also rise. Good, N0s stretches herself and smiles at me. 'Cause you have to be there when you feel like it, right? Marriage, with a little red face. Oh, until then, I'll get Mikagami and the others to stay patient with a distracted predecessor. Is she finally under pressure from me alone? Chapter 93. Dark Elf Who Came Back. Maya, you are listening at novelfull.audio. The 3-story crossbow core building is preferentially used on the first floor by ogres, heavy, or dwarves, short legs, easy to run on the stairs, and the remaining rooms are shared by 2 associate soldiers each, while 10-man captains and higher ranks have rooms which they use alone. My room is at the end of the second floor. There is a stair to the outside, which is not inconvenient, but it is a subtle position that may be inconvenient because it is far from the dining room and bath. Well, the female core building is at about 100 meters away from there. Of course, it is forbidden at all to approach the female core building without the residents' permission. I also, well, I don't think they'll complain about it even if I get close to it, decided to stay away for the time being. However, there is no limit to the number of girls who come here, some cooking and bathing, and my room is in the most easy to enter position, and a sneaking incident occurs more often than I think. Sue, when I woke up in the morning, Maya was in my bed. It's the usual thing, in the last few days. Maya is a free person except when visiting Polka on the weekend. It's still good because there are things to be done. Diane, and Zeros, Aurora, Selenium, and Hilda, who are hired by local staff and who are originally registered in the military. Apple usually does divination in town. She seems to have recently teamed with Mikagami's younger sister as an assistant helper, and Jean and Layla are still in the hot spring at Polka. Maya usually has nothing to do and she feels like she's been out of the way, and she's here to take care of me. Maya, who is sleeping as she clings to me, is vulnerable. Her sleeping face is young. I don't think that she is a blue dragon that can make a whole city iced with one breath. When I brush her hair, Maya wakes up immediately. Originally, a dragon wasn't so deeply asleep because the need for sleep was thin and it was not possible to sleep separately even if a dragon doesn't sleep for about 1 year if it was in nature. Sama, she is rubbing her face on my chest like a cat. Cute. I thought I'd be careful, but the bell hasn't even sounded yet. I thought it would be okay to let Maya like me a little more, and I stroked Maya's hair. Sama, today also your penis has an erection. Well, that is because it is a human physiological phenomenon. Do you want to put it in? It will be troublesome if it is heard straight ball with those innocent eyes. You're still sleepy. I'm not sleepy. Maya moves in the hanging cloth and throws away her clothes and underwear to the side of the bed. When she took my hands, she was completely naked. Rubbing my palm against her breasts, which are still only a slight bulge, with a slight tickling. Sama, I'll do my best again today. It is said in the human world that you kiss when you sit down on a penis. Fine. Me and Sama's rule. Good grief, Maya gets up and straddles me. If she is wearing clothes properly and sitting in front of me a little while ago, she may feel like a pretty girl who wakes up her dad during a holiday. However, Maya, who smiles with a happy smile, completely exudes the sexiness of an adult, which was indeed bewitching. Hoo-hoo, Sama, who did you have sex with yesterday? Selenium and Hilda. San once, then, will you be strong enough to take it out today? Maybe, even though there is a sex history on the day before, it is expected to be still hard because it was only twice, and I don't think that I am of full control. However, I will try hard to come because it is expected. Deep, Andy. Sama attacks my womb, while turning Maya's body with a head, which is still a little sleepy. I enjoy spending time inside her small vagina firmly and enjoy seeing that Maya's expression is distorted and swaying. Although the flesh is thin, I feel so good from rubbing thoroughly against the narrow inside, and I put my middle finger in the depth of Maya's anus. Higgy, aa. Maya raised a voice of joy mixed with agony and leaned her upper body against me. And, I have already given up and begin to shake my waist as it is. Ha, haa, Sama. Sayasu, I'm going to help take out Sama's white baby juice into my stomach. Maya's small body wants my ejaculation and shakes while burning like fire. Her pretty face is dyed in lust and is distorted immeasurably from the face which is not amiable to others by a usual expressionless feeling. Maya. Sama, I like it. Maya moves violently. This intense movement that tries to make me come is unique to this powerful dragon girl. The cervix is hit on my glands almost by intuition, and the cervix is attached to the penis to bite into it at the same time as the ejaculation begins. Ha. Bayukutsu, semen is injected into Maya and Maya weakens with a very happy expression. The cheeks are put together and a rough breath is heard for a while. Hahu, it rose up. Yes, do you want to take a little rest? While I'm resting, can't you not pull out? I'm going to want to do it again, then I'll just make love again. When saying, etc., the wake up bell rings and then Zeros comes at almost the same time. Andy, good, what are you doing so early in the morning? Ah, yeah, I thought it was such an end. You understand if you see it. Oh my God, don't turn your butt in vain. Listening to the angry N-Zeros and the disgruntled Maya arguing, I shook my head and blew away the drowsiness and sex remnants. During the morning training, Diane returned from Harmonium. I think it works better than I thought. I heard from a staff officer within the headquarters, that a gold arm came to the merchant palace of Kika and it seemed to have struggled. Diane didn't feel the tiredness of the trip and taught me that while working on the accumulated paperwork. The Army Corps headquarters is also quick-eared. Well, there is the Flying Dragon service, the information power in that area is Celesta's strength. Of course another gold arm was supposed to go to the capital city of Trot, but that information was not included. Trot has nothing to do with the Northern Army Corps. You're right, Diane continues the conversation skillfully while running the feather pen. There is no doubt that Renfangus doesn't even know the current status of Trot, which is a vassal state. Still, if it was King Ulysses who relied on Trot, I guess there was a calculation that was going to happen. Late King. Yes. King Ulysses is an old man. Like the previous Sword Saint Brigade, there is also the possibility of putting in place the extra force in the country. It is impossible to defeat Celesta with that power. Anyway, if they could contribute to this expedition line, they could make a political back-up with the merits to reduce the influence of Celesta by far-reaching and pervasive attacks. It will be a good deal, but Ruth, who is too young, can't expect to be able to do that much. I mean, yes. You can't expect such power from the royal palace in the present state with King Ruth. Worst, the gold arm might have returned without even seeing them. It was us who helped to change the throne. I feel a little bit responsible. What we did wasn't wrong. If we leave it alone, King Ulysses would also not reign anymore. Yes, that's true. Well, that may be true. Are you thinking more than that? I asked Aurora a while earlier. I'm startled. Did they talk about the proposal? When I think about it, I don't feel like I'm a little bit wrong from N-Zeros. In terms of responsibility, Jean is preferable, and in chronological order Selenium and Apple, and some reason, Diane may be the first to say. And for a moment, I was tempered. N-Zeros is secretly doing training in martial arts, isn't she? Ha, yes, take me to the scene a little. Diane, who had been clearing up the documents for a while, threw her coat, which she wore, on the chair and stood up. That should be my turn. N-Zeros, don't try to fight from the front. Your main weapon is the sword to the end, so it won't be the same when you use your fists. Don't throw away pride in tactical training for emergencies. Discard the notion of long-term war. Defeat the opponent instead of defending quickly, and aim only to change the situation. Remember Becker's move. Yes. And Boyd, if you have good legs, think more about physical fitness. Always keep your field of view, avoid the siege and fight while controlling the direction your opponent is coming. Ace Knight Basics. I'm an Ace Knight. Don't talk, you'll have a melee match. Ace Knight is a melee expert. It means that the same tactics can be used to the best. Learn. While preaching, N-Zeros and Boyd, Diane, also deals with Isaac at the same time. Even if the three attacks at the same time, there is no sign that she will be hit by horrible things. Isaac, attacking is one pattern. You're just going to get tired of such a big swing. Think about moves to hunt down your enemies. Yuju. Therefore. N-Zeros, I guess it's not. Don't break the guard but aim at it. Behind it. Don't fly around, there's too much wasted movement. Boyd, don't stop. Don't stop in one place. The strength of an ogre doesn't require so many attacks. Wait for the chance to hit without swinging. Understood, Sue. And also Aurora, you join. You can use a practice sword. I'm sorry. 2 Ace Knights and 2 ogres. Certainly, it would be natural for a real Master Knight to be able to deal with them, but it is no longer a battle of a different dimension if you watch it from the side. And Zeros, Aurora, why don't you combine your shockwaves? Isaac, you can throw a stone or something. And Boyd, CA, capture and show it. Boyd, let's do it. Understood, Sue. Result. UAA shockwaves are passing each other, become a tornado, and it becomes a catastrophe that is a sandstorm in the forest, combined with Isaac's attack that can crush rocks. It crushed the sand by surprise. The four of them self-destructed brilliantly, and Diane jumped through the trees, landing next to me, who was watching from the distance and sighing. They still need training. No, I think it's a bit too difficult to win against Diane. I think the four of them are not too far away from it. I shrugged my shoulders. Now, I finished my training, let's come to the main topic. It's about time you proposed to me too, right? After all, it came. As I sat on the stump and lifted my jaw, Diane smiled bewitchingly. When I thought, and Zeros and Aurora covered with sand from the other side revived while sweeping through the body. It's not over yet, it was a hit after all, both are a little scary. Diane raised her face and laughed as she was waiting for it. Good. Let's continue. Ace Knights who are beaten black and blue again. I mean, Diane, which one was your aim, inspiring or my proposal? I don't know. Chapter 94. The Poor Developed Elf, first part. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Polka was pretty cool even in early summer. At this time of the year, the river play ban has already been lifted around Basan, but in Polka, long sleeves were still needed. Andy didn't remember having to go into a situation where he was hot and troubled even in the summer. It felt like the climate limit of the Northern Kingdom, but it was early summer now anyway. That dwarf girl, her belly is starting to stand out. Yes, it looks like it's going well. Baron's mansion was Irina's room. He was talking with Irina while having a cup of tea. Irina. Sama, what about the gauntlets? They are quiet, I'd like to say that, but they're going to cause some trouble. Irina sighed. The awkward, sarcastic look on her young face was a real mismatch. The other day, they told me to bring them to the Red Clan's manor, Holy Beast Labyrinth. It was an underground labyrinth in the meadow where the Holy Beast Breakcore lived. It used to be completed inside the labyrinth, but now the labyrinth's chi adjustment function was falling, so it also produced monsters in its surroundings. I've heard that a private army led by Deal was created to hunt them. They angered the Holy Beast. How? That black-skinned talkative girl said something bad about you. She said you're a weak, unpleasant and nasty man. I can't argue against that. That's why the Holy Beast punished that girl with a shockwave. The confused gold arm and that girl whose honor was wounded went on a rampage trying to capture the Holy Beast. If Deal did not intercept, they would have already been dead by now. Well, the Holy Beast can't die, so the end is that it'll tease and kill those people, or rather, Breakcore can still fight that much. Don't look down on it. Layla. Dano, Maya, Diane and Bonaparte. Dano fought together to stop the Holy Beast. Well, if they kill each other, it's not bad, but the Holy Beast that lived thousands of years till now, can't be defeated by those guys. That's why I say, I can't fight. Well, those guys are also part of the Monster Extermination Division. As one would expect, they don't show forgiveness to monsters, as those gauntlets are monster experts. But Breakcore is mature. They are so bad, they are worse than the mouth of that talkative girl. That's what the Glory Clan is. Irina complained while eating confectionery. It seemed that she hated them a lot. Well, what is the Glory Clan? Is glory written on their earrings? Don't you know Smithson? Dano. Irina nodded and corrected her posture. For elves, the northern forest is not the only holy place. There is also a sacred place for the elves in the southern Great Plains, rather than, it's Arca's royal family. Arca's, an elf kingdom in the southern Great Plains. Elvens who worship the land don't express clans with earrings. They use necklaces, hair decorations, etc. Is that good? Well, ear ornaments are a custom that we started on our own terms. However, when the exchange is not arranged, the style of the name is still good. Therefore, the clans in Arcas call themselves vague names such as Glory, Brave and Brightness. The main clan of Arcas is the Glory clan. There were various things among the elves. I took a rest from the talk by taking a sip from my teacup while looking at the window. Irina's room was northeast facing and was not very sunny, but the windows were facing the forest. And from the window, I saw Anziros and Diane training in the forest. But that half-girl, I think she was a sword user. What kind of wind is blowing? Anziros was unarmed today. After chasing Diane and colliding shockwaves, it looked like she was looking forward to it. She would like to be able to fight without a sword, mainly, because she was disappointed that we were caught by phaser. The two of us watched the training scenery for a while. Diane's movements, which disappeared when viewed closely, were caught by my eyes even from a distance. Anziros was being completely played with. It was in total contrast to Diane, who shot her own shockwaves when desperately avoiding enemy shockwaves, by avoiding them dexterously with minimal movement. Anziros flew like an arrow, as if running in leather shoes on ice. Too much, there were a lot of mistakes and a lot of useless movements too. Not at all yet. I wonder, when I laughed bitterly, Irina muttered while playing with her fan and told me that it was not so. Diane also seems to be worth teaching. That half-girl's movement is quite different from 1 hour ago, so. Look, Anziros was avoided by Diane and then thrown away. However, the shockwave was smashed with both the hands just at the last moment to increase the distance between them and escape from the chase. That girl wasn't able to squeeze shockwaves with her bare hands before this moment. If you say it, the shockwave should have caused a deadly motion within the whole body, at least as of last year's desert occasion. Was the sober skill rising? She just kicked one shot and sent out a shock wave. That's Diane.San's exclusive patent. Well then. Anziros, I think she had achieved great growth, probably because she fought strong opponents in a row this past year. She may not be far from becoming a master knight/great sword saint, as Sir Bonaparte said. Knight. Now, voluntaries. It's a covert action from here. The Baron made a thumbs up and Johnny, Keel and I came together. Good luck. It was a moment to put the hearts together without a word. Women gathered from all over the city at Polka's hot spring on the weekend. It was a day when the population density was particularly high. And Polka's women generally had very good proportions. Yup. Some people said that I was doing a lot of things with my female slaves, but I would still get inspired by the intellectual inquisitiveness if the boobs' paradise was being deployed at hand, as it was a man's saga. It was good though, that those beautiful girls would come close to bewitch you and would try to do something ecky, but it was also tasteful to see their defenseless bathing appearances. Everyone, be careful to hide the intrusion route to the surveillance point. If you're going to realize it when you're on the run, you're going to have to give up on your escape and protect your legacy for the next generation. Understood. The Baron claimed that the route was a legacy to his offspring and he was shining at that moment. And then. Hey. Today was a big failure. Both the Baron and the guard troop stepped on their feet and began to be driven out without seeing too much. And I was the only one who wasn't driven out. Luckily, Layla and Diane were entertained when they were peeped at and Maya was not too noisy nowadays, so it was only Anziros who quickly put on a cloak and chased them. However, there were a lot of elves who were recently staying at Polka, so they joined the chase after the guys. In fact, Keel was caught by a lasso, perhaps for a horned horse, by a female of the Cherry Blossoms clan before he could flee and was forced to kneel on the ground. Fortunately, I wasn't found yet, but I couldn't move because the escape route was blocked. There was no way to go around in this rocky place, as it was night time and I might injure myself, and during the daytime also it was impossible. So I was just hiding in a bush until there was no sign of people. Well, if I thought in reverse, the guards after that would be sweetened by the fact that Keel and the others were found. Although it could be said that it might take some time, there was still a chance surely to monopolize the women's bath. How long will it take? While I sat on the ground in the bush and asked such a thing, at the same moment Irina, who wore a cloak nakedly, turned her face towards me suddenly. Our eyes met. Danger. Don't move. I was in the darkness of the bush right now. There was a little possibility of being overlooked if I didn't move. Don't be hasty. It was a battle of mental power. As I thought that, I was really stuck before I knew it. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't move my hands. My legs didn't move no matter how hard I tried. And then. Why? You have so many women. Why do you peep at others? While I couldn't move my eyes, Irina was coming to the side of the bush. I was able to move suddenly. What was that? Magic. Poisonous snake eye. It's a unique spell used by me. It reminded me that you're a great magician at a time when it doesn't matter. Irina walked on the water with only the use of magic. Her magic skills surpassed even Diane. I sat face to face with Irina. By the way, I had a towel wrapped around my waist. Polka's peepers liked this outfit. I couldn't help it. On the other hand, Irina sat on a stump and felt a very sharp feeling cross her legs while wearing the cloak, whereas she was completely naked underneath. What kind of composition was that? I always think of it. Why is Smithson.Dono so obsessed with female bodies? Because I'm someone who loves Polka's boobs. I immediately replied strongly. No. That's right, that means Goodo.Dono has a good animal training skill because of such a sincere face. I don't want you to call Polka an animal trainer production place without permission. I see. The Baron's wife seems to be happy every day, so I wonder if Goodo.Dono is also making efforts at night. It may be, but it's not necessarily animal training. You are actually a silent pervert. Nah, Irina was upset, stretched her ears directly to her side and turned red. Oh, I think that she stood up because I preached her compositionally. I'm not especially like that. If I think about it, you've corrected it many times, but you're too obsessed with animal training, aren't you? That's because Smithson.Dono has a great skill, so it's just humility. I see. Don't you desire that? No, you can do a lot of things with that skill. Irina became completely flustered. Good. If I bullied her now, she would run away from here. Even if she tried to accuse me, I would just be silent because it might rekindle my suspicions. I could be even possible to get into the flow of a great escape success. Actually you, a man, you don't have knowledge about sex at all. That is, I can't help it, I have this kind of standpoint. Looking like a 12 or 13 years old human, her body was poor developed. Well, certainly a little enthusiastic. But. So you have a great delusion about sex? That's a denial. I don't do that. All my women are trying to seduce me strangely, and the sex that I have is so pleasant that I can't stop, like it's a dangerous drug. That's why I'm experienced. No. It seemed that it was better to use a stronger approach so as not to miss this chance, because there were a lot of competitors. There were also people who didn't surpass Layla in common sense, and it was more likely to give birth and family than just desire than sex. So to be clear, it was just one element that made my sex feel good. I thought. However, if I got too addicted, I'd become a super erotic genie. No, actually Hilda.San was a super erotic genie, so I relied on her during Almeida's case. Now, what do you think? I dared to laugh nastily and brought my face closer to Irina. Then I concentrated my mind on Irina's thighs and back, which I was peeping at earlier, collecting blood on my penis, and let it erect. It was about time Irina screamed and ran away. It seemed to go beyond the range of the word blame, that it could be joked about if she didn't run away around here now. I wondered if she would run away soon because she would be in trouble if found by Diane. Understood, what? Did you say it as you were convinced before? I was sweating cold sweat on my back while grinning. It was about time to cry loudly, stand up and run away, Clan Chief Irina. Irina nodded and unwrapped her cloak. Then. If you say so much, you can tell me the truth, okay? Gently, the cloak fell like a tablecloth on the stump and Irina's naked body was exposed with her having a bright red face, DDE. Good, welcome to the Trot Kingdom, what can I do for you? I've seen you for the first time. As you know, this country is still paying the price of defeat. I am still an immature, powerless king and I can't offer anything to add to your expectations. I may just waste your time. I know. But I have heard that your majesty is a bright king. That was the late king and his followers. To the throne and the great hero, you went to the throne to let them live and showed them the future, yes. If so, I will recognize you. With the 30.9 generations of Trot Kingdom, who followed the proud tradition, the descendants of my lord's sworn friend, I understand. Let's hear the story. Calwyn's Hero. Chapter 95. The Poor Developed Elf, Second Part, Irina, you are listening at novelfull.audio. The moon had an unbelievable light for less than half a month. The place was a grove of mixed trees. Under the roof of young leaves, it was hard to say that visibility was good, even if you were lurking in darkness for a long time and had your eyes adjusted to it. However, the naked female body exposed in this darkness looked strangely beautiful and shining. I could see every single hair of the whole body very well. Even though it was early summer, polka at night was still chilly and one could see the modestly colored nipples on the trembling skin, firmly asserting themselves. Do it. Only at that time, I couldn't find any margin of 1,000 years which always stuck as an imbalance to the young appearance. I had the immense desire and curiosity to know about the pleasures I could give to her, which made many women, including dragons and heroes, lose their minds. But Irina's inherently strong self-esteem and shame hindered further provocation and induction. In the end, I would need to kneel down on the ground like Keel and the others. I think it would be wise to pull away here if I didn't want to make it any more complicated. However, Irina's young, soft-looking naked body exposed like a strange, modest sacrifice wouldn't leave my eyes. I wanted to see this body sway with pleasure and desire within my hands like clear water in a desert. I wanted to see how Irina's young face showed joy. I wanted to make my son go back and forth in this small waist and belly. I wanted to know what kind of voice she would raise when I hit her womb. I wanted to see what kind of embarrassing face she would make when I would play with her back hole. I wanted to lick and suck her nipples. I wanted to see her shameless face begging me for a kiss. No, let's do it. It was roughly the lowest request complaint that leaked from her mouth. However, Irina, who had been repeatedly delusional about training that drove a woman crazy, was not even complaining about that lowermost level and just dropped her ears and closed her eyes. That thick tree stump seemed to have passed a considerable age and was around 1 meter in diameter. It was just the right size to put the upper body of the small Irina on it and to open her legs as though it was a bed, where her feet could be extended and it'd be better to lie on as well. Sue. Such an embarrassing posture, is it really fine to do it? Irina turned red and said so as I laid her down and held her legs wide open. It's not too embarrassing, it's in the forest where people can't see it. According to Aurora, even if it was not indoors for elves, they were not so ineligible for sex in the forest. Hey, it's not about any person or something like that. It's embarrassing because I'm showing off myself to you throughout. Patience. You're pushy at a time like this. Irina closed her eyes and was somehow convinced. The slightly thicker cloak would take care of Irina's back, ensuring it wouldn't get hurt. Also, there would be no sign of pain if I held her down a little. To make it better, I pushed the back of my knees to lift Irina's hips and brought my face closer to the two unknown holes of her pretty butt. That face. Don't be surprised at that. It was not enough for her to get wet just by imagination. From her skin there was only the smell of hot spring water and a little sweat. As I enjoyed the feeling of the slightly thin thighs on my cheeks a little, I buried my nose in her genitals. Irina shook. Wah, what are you doing, Chu? Preparation for inserting my dick into you. I purposely frightened Irina directly. That is, you don't exactly need to. If I don't do it, it'll hurt both of us. I didn't know where Irina's source of information about sex was from. If she was thinking of animals mating, she wouldn't know about foreplay. If she listened from within her own body, there were parts that made it impossible to prepare and wait on their own. It's because I lose when I get a late start, but the part is big. That was why Irina seemed to be unconvinced about the act of being teased before the insertion and tried to stop me by saying, "It is already good." But, she was with me right now. It was true that my girls were in that situation, but that didn't mean I couldn't do foreplay at all. And it was after I licked Irina's pussy persistently and more than necessary. Then why not, hiya? When I saw Irina, who stopped moving because of the stimulation of her clitoris, she had a chance to strengthen her critique. Hiya. What is this, hi, gaha? Irina opened her eyes to the intense stimulation. I burned more than before the foreplay and burned to the tipping purpose of controlling the battle with Irina, by teasing with my tongue and front teeth, using them to peel off the skin of her clitoris as if beating the beans. Irina was thus exposed continuously to violent stimulation before long. Hiya, hua, a. A thin, high-pitched voice was raised by Irina as she climaxed. She started dripping urine on my face and was shaking her whole body. It had a little bitter and fragrant smell. I dared to bathe in it without avoiding it. Irina tasted the climax and it took her a while to relax. If this was N0s or Selenium, Layla or Maya, Andy would just have sex with them without thinking about it twice. But Irina seemed not to be so immune to sexual climax, and he felt that it seemed better to chew firmly, for the time being. I waited for her breath to straighten and didn't dare to do anything. And then, with her breathing in place and in focus, I slowly climbed onto Irina. I'll fuck you. Irina leaked a meaningless voice as if she were floating in heat. There was no sign of resistance. She threw out her thin, small body that had been relaxed, soaked the cloak under her with sweat and urine, and looked up at me with absent-minded eyes. It didn't make much sense to spend any more time to cool down her passion. I applied my penis forcefully to her open vaginal hole, whether Irina understood it or not, and thrust it forward forcefully. Again, Irina opened her eyes. She continued to be at the mercy of the stimulation from her lower body and looked a little pitiful as well. But her body was small and a terrible tightening attacked me instantly, and feelings to care about Irina honestly seemed to fly out instantly. It felt good. Irina's vagina felt good without any complaints whatsoever. Unlike Jean and Maya, who were slow in their growth due to their racial characteristics and were not developed in order, this vagina had the undulations of an adult. I realized that Irina was an adult in reality, and only her chest and height were small. And yet, her vaginal diameter was narrow and the tightening was intense. At the very last minute I was convinced that it felt as perfect as I could think of, as if it was made for this size only. Kohu, Irina bearded the pain and raised and lowered her chest with tears flowing down her eyes. Her ears were obediently hanging down to the stump. But her nipples were erect. It still looked painful. "You're really horny." I was excited about that fact. I will move. Hiya. I was strangely excited by Irina's lewdness and began to violate her by holding her light, small body like a tool. Smithson, no, oh, please, Saya, more, slowly. It will get better soon, that, One was excited and didn't stop. The other one was mean to Irina and told that person that he was an animal trainer. To be honest, I didn't think it was a good idea, but I really didn't want Irina to feel it and to recognize me as a trainer. It would be nice to be a little unskilled, selfish and persistent. I was not a sex specialist like Irina thought. I was just a lewd bastard. I was aware of it properly. So, let us know the minute and exaggerate a little. Irina's narrow vagina reciprocated so that my penis attached with Irina's virgin blood was tormented further. Hiya. AAA. On one hand I felt a little sorry for Irina, but on the other hand I was addicted to her sexual attraction, which I had hardly felt before. Her crying face was cute. The bulges on her small chest were lovely. The presence of her thin shoulders, the delicacy of her neckline, the movement of her lips and tongue, her soft hair and her beauty that smelt like sand. All of this made me strangely excited. The fact that the body of this doll-like girl was opened by a whistle and by thrusting inside her pussy made me feel as if it were a dream. I was in such an immorally excited state. Irina, I'll come, I'll put it in you. I told Irina that I was at my limit while pressing my lips which were wet with urine on her mouth. Nah, AAA, wait Smithson. Dono. Moo, forcibly, put it out. Stop, no, inside, My head was excited and red hot and I didn't understand Irina's words at all. As it was, Irina's depth was pierced and I started vomiting semen. Irina opened her eyes and accepted the ejaculation. And as I ejaculated my head became somewhat clear and refuted Irina's words. Oh, hey, I. You know what, I made a cream pie. Let's say it again. You know what, I made a cream pie. So, sorry. I woke up in a hurry. Irina was staring at me with a doll-looking face. When I thought so, she reached out and twisted my cheek with her little hand. No good. I'm going to make it to the end of this devil. After all until now, for a long time, besides I didn't say anything. Everyone is conceived. At Almeida's time, I used contraceptive magic. That's true, I think we should be prepared to a certain extent because we had sex. Irina lost power while turning red. No, I understood that the logic didn't apply to her. Yup. Was it a good thing or a bad thing to reflect on it without permission or to be good in a strange direction? Leaving that aside, it's cold. Irina trembled. Yup. Well, it's like this outdoors. I thought I wanted to dress, but when I thought carefully we had no clothes here. What am I supposed to do? I was troubled. Even if we wind the cloak around us, that cloak was dirty. When I thought about it, Irina pulled my hand and put it on her. I can't stand for a while. In the meantime, you have to warm me up. Irina telling such an excuse was also pretty. My penis was beginning to recover. Hey, Irina, what, that, again. Let's do it. Putting herself discipline in her own shallowness, she dared to complain about the lowest demands. Mew. Irina made a bitter expression with a bright red face. There is no big difference from inserting it once or twice. So I permit it. Sulky Irina allowed a second round and put her arms around my back. Irina said such sweet things, so I ended up coming about 5 times into her that night until the hot spring fire burned down. Ho, owner. It looks like it was great again last night, wasn't it? Nah, I was teased by Layla at breakfast the next day. What? No, what are you talking about? Ho ho, do you underestimate a dragon's ears? Well, Layla could hear a normal conversation even a few hundred meters away with her dragon ears. How many times have I heard that little girl's squeaky cry? No, Layla, nah. I'll talk about it later. I would like to hear that soon. I understand, so I'll see you later. I look forward to it. At the same time as Layla left her seat, grinning, I felt bloodthirst from behind me. I turned around and Maya and Jean stood there. With whom? I'm sorry, Andy. I heard it, so let's talk about it. Maya was apologizing while Jean stared at me with scornful eyes. No, and when I tried to make an excuse, Irina showed up and ate my breakfast before I knew it. I was taught animal trainer's skill, with my own body. Andy. Jean, calm down. It's bad for the baby. Jean got angry and Maya stopped her with an unusually anxious face. I'm enduring it. Because Hilda. Sensei told me to stop having sex. Despite this. I wondered if it was good. I mean, Irina, do you still say I'm an animal trainer? As one expected, my sense of values were overturned in one night, so I could understand the feelings of dark green Almeida and Maya. Well, I didn't know it because Irina was already completely exhausted by the 5th shot, but it seemed to be a good idea, maybe. That's just because you were horny and erotic and it won't be so comfortable from the very first night. Well, that's a good thing. I didn't think so. Oh no. Don't look at me with a flirtatious glance. And don't stare at Selenium, Diane and Apple with great eyes. I see, unfortunately, I don't have the authority to help. No, it's not good now. You thought Calwyn Kingdom was destroyed by the disaster, but now it is time for Calwyn to join hands with the countries of this continent again. Wait. May I have a moment, King? Gardner. Sensei, no, Duke. Something. You don't have to decide as you don't have power. King, you are young and you have a long way to go before being called a wise king. But Trot is not a powerless country. It's also not a country without pride. What do you mean? Please let me know, Duke. Your Majesty's strength is that it is well received by the old people, you know what? Politics is an official stance. This old man has an idea. Chapter 96. There is a bride who comes from afar. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The city of Basan flourished during the time before summer. Travelers would come there and then go to Trot. Although the station carriage transportation network was well maintained, the mainstream traveling option was still on foot. Because traveling in winter might freeze them to death in the camp and during the summer's higher physical strength expended was certainly hard on them, it might be a pleasure for them to move during a time when it was easy to survive. But when people flowed into the city, security would become unstable. There were travelers everywhere with bad manners during their stay. So recently I was a little worried about Apple going to earn money in the city. I think I'm going to pick Apple up in a short time. When I was about to leave the shooting training ground, Isaac and Mikagami, who were also cleaning up nearby, called out to me from behind. Wait a minute. I will go too. I will also go. Isaac put Mikagami's foot on his palm in a familiar state and carried her on his shoulder. It looks to be fun. Can I also ride on your shoulder? There is no obligation to ride a man. Tisk. Isaac was a narrow-minded person. Isaac, an ox. Had a wide stride, so even if he was walking slowly, I needed to go faster or even run lightly. Hey Isaac, Mikagami, do you have a task to do in the city? Just like you. We go to pick someone up. My sister is helping Apple. Yes. Mikagami's younger sister was working as a barker and bodyguard. Anyway, could Mikagami's younger sister, who was not even a soldier, be a bodyguard? Hey Mikagami, is your younger sister strong? Within her capacity. I will win if I have a sword. Without a sword. If I have a sword, I win. Apparently, without a sword, Mikagami lacked confidence. This meant her younger sister was strong. Mikagami, surprisingly, also hated to lose. If she is so strong, why do you worry so much about her? As I thought about it, I asked this question. Even if Apple was not good at all by herself, if it was Mikagami's younger sister who was as strong as Mikagami, I didn't know why she would be picked up by those two. And when I thought about it, well, mentally, she is a lonely person, that girl. I had never heard of it. Or rather, are you picking her up every day? According to it was not only surprisingly overprotective but also misplaced. Not really. A little while ago, my mother came to Kate's room, which I rented in the city. Isaac's mother. I met her once. Unlike Isaac, who had an ox-like face, his mother seemed like a normal tall woman with an ox horn. It might be better to say hello when she came here. But my mother went home the other day. For that girl, it's going to be hard for her to be in a room where it's been lively once and no one else now. Therefore we do what we can. I see. It seemed like a really good family relationship. Ogre.san, there's fortune.telling. It's very good. It only cost 10 gold coins. Hey Mikagami. You don't have to say to that. In the city, Mikagami's younger sister dressed in an exotic red and white costume and was barking before a brothel. No matter how you looked, it was no fortune.telling. Will why, you come with me. You can't tell my fortune. Even so, 10 gold coins for a try. That's right. Immediately, a little dirty traveler got caught. The traveler disappeared into the fortune.telling tent in the back of the alley. You owe. High. Level, somehow, excited voices could be heard. Kaya. Apple screamed in bewilderment. Then, in a few seconds, the traveler was blown out from the tent and rolled on the ground. Not good. Take this. From the gap of the tent, the foot that Mikatami's younger sister had raised could be seen. RG, Ka, Kate.chan, the present person's wallet, fell down. What am I supposed to do? Bad guys don't have human rights. Let's take it. Having such a customer halfway in the morning. Aunt Dorothy did say the world was rough. That seemed like a scam to be clear. Mikagami. Isaac. I suggest that she should learn the standard language well. No objection. Same, we rushed into the tent before the next poor victim came out. I thought it was strange, Apple said that with an exhausted face. Isaac and Mikagami had preached Mikagami's younger sister, so, for now, it was a diversion. The two came back to the core building first. I think you're an excellent bouncer, but if you were seen by the military police, you would be arrested. I will change the way from now on. I think it's right. Two people sighed. So, as a matter of fact, do you earn money? Little. Local people use it more often than travelers. I didn't think fortune.telling was something that someone would use often, and it was a strange story that there were many local people. But then I thought it was misplaced according to Apple's commentary. Because it is not an oracle or a fortune judgment. For example, I think there is a lot of room for local people to use it because they want to know, such as the safety of their families far away, the tools they have lost, or the whereabouts of the livestock that has fled. I see. I didn't know where Apple's way of dealing differed from that. But I understood that Apple expected local demand and it was starting to bear fruit. It would have been nice if it worked well. Apple was not going to accompany us on the upcoming investigation trip. Some people said that she was not very strong, but I just hoped for her to be in a safe place as much as possible. After that, I wondered what she would do during that time. In that respect, Apple was safe because she could work in this way in a community-based manner. However, I didn't say it aloud. It was somewhat unpleasant that no technology could be used for investigation. However, Apple was a half-elf who made a living by reading human complexions. She smiled as if she was a little embarrassed that she understood it. And, just a little while later, she leaned over in front of me and asked for a kiss. I was not against it. To taste relaxed, we put out our tongues together and entangled them lightly like the hands when dancing. The feel of the other party's lips rubbing against the surface of my lips and the feel of the tongue of the other party sliding on my tongue strangely tickled and was pleasant. We kissed for a long time. And then Apple let go of my face. I heard from Kate.Chan. Apple then brought up a subject that was completely unrelated to the investigation trip. She told me that beast men get estrus on a full moon, while ogres get rougher on a new moon. The intensity of a beast man in estrus had been tasted only once. That was an unusual vacancy. What about elves? Humans, besides what about half-elves? Inside my room, dimly lit by a fat burning lantern, I could see the full moon about to rise from the other side of the window. With the light on her back, Apple slowly took off her robe. Then the thin underwear under her robe was removed to show a bewitching dance. I wish half-elves mating season is tonight. When you want to, it's good in the estrus period. The mating season of an animal is a signal from the body that it is ready for pregnancy. Apple stroked her lower abdomen, emphasizing the important organs in it. If my heart and body are asking for Andy.San together, it would be nice. If I could have your baby right now, I'm sure I'll be looking forward to more tomorrow. Apple, am I too desperate? She displayed a lonely, shy smile while putting her fingers on the collar. My precious female slave who took it for granted that she would give birth to my child before she knew it. I couldn't remember why she cared about that collar so much, my first love. It was a strange situation, but before I knew it, she had come here to take reality as it was. Her time had not yet asked for tomorrow. It was kind and fun to be with everyone. It was comfortable to accept me. She only found out the meaning of living in the moment, yet she had no reality or desire in her future or dreams. So Apple did not want the future where I might leave her alone, not to come. For her, pregnancy was, the existence of my child was a necessary condition for her to live in the future. I'm so happy that Apple desperately wants to bear my child. Really? Yes. I'm not going to let you go until I get you pregnant. If so, you don't mind letting go of me. You have been eating me for a long time, trained me in having sex and letting me do fortune-telling. Of course, you can have sex with me anywhere. It's a waste to pull out your dick, so leave my pee in. We will wipe each other. Don't you think it's nice to be one all the time? Sometimes you're terrific with such delusions. I want you to love me so much that it feels like a dream. As it seems, it is moderate without a child, right? Hoo-hoo, I know. Apple threw off my clothes too. Then she fell on me. Her busted chest fell on my face and it felt as if I was smashed by her two boobs and her erect nipples. And when our bodies stuck together we left them to the bed. Then a screeching sound came from the window. I raised my head. This is not a thriving glass industrial area like Trot Capital, so the only window was a wooden shutter. Sure enough, the stick that was supporting the shutter stumbled. Thus the window closed and the moonlight was cut off. The bad thing was that the lantern had already gone out. The room was pitch black. Yet, as many as 6 glowing eyes floated in the darkness. It made me nervous. What was that? Was it a monster? Why in such a place? I had to protect Apple too. Anyway, I had to do something for the moment. Uea. I screamed as that was what I could do the fastest. If the other party was frightened, it would be good. If someone nearby heard me, it'd be even better. Anyway, the sheet was swung while screaming and I pushed Apple to the entrance side to defend her and threw things randomly at the place where the 6 eyes were. However, 6 glowing eyes tore the sheet easily, and there was no sign that someone was hit by the things I had thrown, and it was not frightened of my scream, of course. The sad result was that I was completely screaming and confused alone. Damn, it was weird. This might be a big pinch. Could I stay safe until Maya, Diane or N0s came? I might go on a rampage naked while having such a sad resolution. The 6 bright thin eyes looked at me and suddenly my arms and feet were grabbed and pulled down to the ground. And then... What happened? N0s, wearing a long tank top instead of pajamas, jumped into the room with magic light. What she saw was the naked me being held down by 3 Catwomen. Well, I also correctly recognized my condition there for the first time. The naked Apple sat with her legs opened in an M shape without knowing the situation in the corner of the room. What is the situation? Sorry, I want to know that too. I'm Luna Basil. Before that, I want to receive that person's sperm. Among the 3 cat beasts, it could be said that she was the calmest. Which reminded me, last year, I made a rampage in the cat beast colony in the desert. So... I'm, Una Basil. Lena Basil, What? That was. These children, by any means, looked to be in the middle of their teens. What were their names? No way, really. Yo, you and my children. I checked with Luna. She dyed her cheeks a little and turned her eyes away. Nah, Andy. Sans illegitimate children. And Zeros and Apple were stunned. Like that. Joke. Luna looked at me again. Ha. No one can grow this much in a year from seeding. These children were among the ones you seeded, my relatives. I see. Surnames in rural colonies are the same. I was fooled. That's it. Why suddenly? And Zeros asked that question while recasting the magic light. Luna still had a serious look. Because I failed to become pregnant. I heard that the Ox.Ogre colony's aunt went to see her son, so I tried to come. Tonight is a full moon, try again, the man who has sex with many women. Luna took off her underwear without an expression in front of us. While we were all stunned, the other 2 also handed over their underwear while saying something. Chapter 97. Again to be delighted, huh? Apple and Zeros. Luna Lena Una, you are listening at novelfull.audio. The shutter was closed and I couldn't see it anymore, but tonight was a full moon. So, it was the same full moon as that night. Again, make me pregnant properly. In N0's magic light, the amount of illumination was gradually falling. The cat girls dropped their underwear from their slender legs and approached me. And Zeros cast magic again and added more light. Just as Apple was keen on it, she reopened the window and let in the moonlight, gaining visibility, and moved in front of the catgirls. Wah! Wait a minute. I don't know what it is all about, but it doesn't have to be Andy. San. The 3 catgirls stopped for a while and thought a little. But, it's fine. Yup. Yeah. If you looked closely, love juice was dripping down their thighs. Was it because of the moon? It seemed that there was a high possibility that the smell of the estrus on me and Apple was influencing them. It seemed that the smell was also the cause last time. If it's good with other people, do it with others. Apple, calm down. Or perhaps I should say wear this. And Zeros handed the sheet while saying that with a nervous face. But, and Zeros. San, it's fine. The catgirls were strongly influenced by the moon. It reflected not only in estrus but also in their physical abilities. I mean, now they were quite strong. It was possible to get too distracted, to be irritated, and to be exposed, to be untouched. I was able to see that N0's was concerned about it by his move of trying to interrupt between Apple and the catgirls by casual footing. I was food for them, so even if I could get the minimum amount of personal safety, it was still too dangerous if Apple got rough. Andy.san, Apple looked at me with a sad face. Now the point of the future was postponed. And I was ready to lend a hand to Apple. All right, Apple. Come here. Apple and the catgirls didn't understand the meaning. N0's had a suspicious face for a moment, then understood and sighed. I then dared to say to the catgirls. All three, no, I will seed all 5 of you. There will be no complaints, right? Opening their eyes as if they were under pressure, I grabbed their shoulders and pushed them lightly onto the bed. Naya. What? Catgirls were confused. Listen up, turn your asses towards me. The upper bodies of the 3 catgirls were made to crawl on the bed a little forcefully and the hips were arranged. Cat beasts were known for their leg strength and they had beautiful buttocks. I slapped them lightly and then told them. I'm going to fuck you without worrying, nasty female cats. But disobeying bad girls need to wait. Naya, why are you so proud? I slapped Luna's ass strongly that seemed unhappy. Naya. Under.sto.od yes. I was in a deadly sadistic mode. It was best not to let these guys, who were acting by instinct, take the initiative. So I dared to release the villain Smithson in me and took the initiative at a stretch. Thus. Apple, and Zeros, you guys, I pulled their hands and placed the 2 between the catgirls. Hua, Andy.san. Apple was a little confused about the sudden change of atmosphere. I thought that you had something like this in mind. After muttering as if she was stunned, and Zeros rolled up the hem of her tank top, lowered her underwear and stuck out her buttocks. When she came to my room, she was expecting it lightly, so she had already started to release the expected juice between her crotch. Higu, what, you, something like that, you are happy to be slapped. Luna looks into N0's face and expressed her disbelief. N0's muttered with a slight vague voice. Hoo, I'm a pervert. Pervert, yeah. Also, Andy likes to be violent, she proudly told something very embarrassing and smiled happily when I slapped her but again strongly. Stunning autumn colors bloomed. TL note. Description of a bright red butt, HIAA. N0's trembled and fainted in agony, while I suddenly plunged into the cat beast called Lena without foreplay for the time being. Nya, Sue, suddenly, you're going to regret coming to my room. It's my way of getting back to an undisciplined cat like you. Naya, nah. I held her tightened buttocks with both hands and started to reciprocate violently. The whole of this cat beast was completely in estrus and obediently accepted my violent invasion. I pierced the whole of this girl who was still in her mid-teens without any remedies, steadily moving in and out. It was like a maiden's tongue that got stuck in this hot and dirty filth and looked like a rich kiss. The feeling of the vivid yet thick sex compulsorily with the tension that kept rising, invited my violent insult further. Naya. Hiu, great, like this. Lena shook her ears and tail and was driven by me to her limits. If I thought about it, although I had been attacked by her, she was still at such an age and it would be bad because it would be her second time having sex since the loss of her virginity. It felt good to add a little more stimulation, but it was a pity to return to a ruthless rape during this wonderful full moon. Hey, it's coming, I will shoot my sperm into you, so relax your uterus and eat plenty of it. Naya hi, hoo, hurry up, more, no, hi. Lena was shocked and couldn't breathe properly from the pleasure and vibration and pleaded for my ejaculation like salvation. Excited by her tearful eyes, I cummed. Buku. I held down her waist while releasing my semen. Dilvico. When I released Lena, I pulled out my penis, which was covered in a mix of sperm and love juice. Luna had a stunned expression on her face from this sex scene and was staring at my dick and told. Phew. No, this is normal. When I had my fun in the cat beast colony, sperm hell magic was applied to me, and other than that, I received a lot of mischief training from Hilda.san. It was not good to have normal conditions and the arrangement together. But, well, I can let you have a little bit more motivating amount. And Zeros got up from the bed. Come to think of it, she could also use sperm hell magic. Therefore, look. Nah. And Zeros hugged Luna sideways. Holding Luna's legs beside her, she invited her to raise her legs. Two pretty holes were in close proximity and exposed to me. Andy, first put in here. Go, good butt. Of course, with all your strength, right? Oh, I inserted my penis into Anzeros's pussy while I tightly grabbed her red swollen butt as per her order. Anzeros casted a spell with a low voice, accepting it with a blissful look. And the junction with me glowed brightly. Magic, it's it, yup. Without any hands, Anzeros casted magic from her pussy. Now my consciousness, I'm concentrating on ballast. You pervert female slave. Yeah, I am a lewd female slave, from the bottom of my heart, I am your semen toilet. Saying so, happily from the bottom of her heart, Anzeros lifted her hips and sucked my dick into her lower body to make it easier for me to move. Her nasty switch had been getting lighter recently. Good, then pour your white piss into me. I was also very weak to it because my heart had been charmed by such an Anzeros who had an endlessly lewd and happy look. I completely thrusted my penis inside and got used to optimizing Anzeros's vagina with all my energy, and then went back and dig up the vagina. Good, put it out, I want to become pregnant, don't restrain yourself, put your sperm into my stomach at any time. I reached my limit during my sex with Anzeros now and ejaculated. My sperm shot into her and Anzeros's belly became tense and swelled up momentarily. Anzeros squeezed her eyes and beard it. It continued for a while, and as it couldn't withstand the pressure, the sperm leaked from the gap between the vagina and my penis and overflowed as if it broke a dam. Anzeros showed a good face to Luna, who was in front of her. If you get out of this much, you'll be satisfied, won't you? Yeah, you are amazing. Magic. You are so happy to be fucked. I said I'm a pervert. Anzeros said so happily. I pulled out my dick from Anzeros and pushed it into Luna's vagina while being covered in a mix of sperm and love juice. As expected, Luna also had little experience, so it seemed a little painful. However, although I fucked Lena with all my might earlier, I couldn't say that I would jump on Luna too. From the beginning into the top gear, after having sex with Anzeros, I continued to move as it is. Nku, you, after all are a man who has sex with many women, you don't think about the woman. You don't even think about the man. With a little resentment that she has disturbed my lovey-dovey relationship with Apple, I slapped her hips to blame Luna. Although she was a little older than Lena and Yuna, Luna's vagina was probably still unexplored as she was still unfamiliar with men, and her reaction to being overwhelmed by intense extraction was unremarkable. However, Luna's vagina had already become a rite of sexual desire because there was only violently sex repeated in front of her eyes. She hugged my dick with her vagina completely, loving it, indulging in it, and was completely intoxicated. Luna's expression was just painful, even as she was trying to hide it, but she was revealing the true nature of an estrus female cat beast which couldn't be suppressed or stopped. You, a man who has sex with many women, brute, stallion. What did you say, you female pervert, rude, bitch? I'm not a bitch, female cat, I'm at least, a female cat, either way, you're a nasty bitch who's been chasing after my penis greedily. I'm not a bitch, I only know your penis. Anyone will do. No, not good, I want your child. Such an exchange in the form of yellings was done by us while having sex. When I noticed it, and Zeros was looking scornful. Apple also looked sideways. What are you saying willingly? Andy.San, it's unfair that only you feel comfortable, I was a little puzzled, but my head was suddenly pulled by Luna and she started sucking my lips. My tongue was overlapped by another thin and sticky tongue and the inside of my mouth was attacked as well. When she released my lips, she breathed violently and her eyes were wet too. You're good, I want your child. You're good with your dick. I want your sperm. And I've always wanted to kiss you. Unconsciously, even though I was puzzled by such a cute confession of Luna, my penis responded honestly. Next, I injected a large amount of semen into Luna's belly as it is. This, you, human, semen. Shedding sweat, she withstood the sudden internal pressure and showed a relieved smile. Luna then fainted. Yes. As N0 said, I thought that something very dangerous was removed and operated. Lastly, I fucked Apple and Yuna and came while being influenced by sperm hell magic. How, you, nyau, like this, intense, nya, this, in this way. See you, come again, Andy.San. I put Yuna on Apple, piling up on top of each other, and insert my son while alternately tasting those two holes. Apple's well-adapted vagina was good and Yuna's young vagina was even better than Lena's. When I fucked Yuna wildly while pulling on her tail, she would cramp while crying. However, it could be noted only by Lena who got up after hearing Yuna's cries as I pulled on her tail. That's not good, human. Yuna will have a tail ache if you overdo it and she would faint. Is that so? I was wondering if it would make me feel more comfortable, but in fact, it was the same principle as tightening with the buttocks. I stopped it because it was a pity. When I thought, Yuna, who was a bit addicted, shook her tail violently and invited me further. Nya, fine, more tail, pull it like reins, be rude to me. I felt sorry. I was about to wake up to a troubling orientation. This made it difficult for the Northern Forest lot to refute. However, I was begged by such a young girl with erotic eyes which made it hard to withstand. Nya, who, hurts, Mori. Andy.San, let it out, seed my womb. I want it too, I will pull the tail and come in your uterus. I was invited into two holes. Without hesitation I pulled the tail and ejaculated in the bellies of those two. I wanted them to feel the danger of the sperm hell magic now. After all that I spent my super ass massage seating time until morning, interrupted by my rehydration and Hilda.San's appearance event. The night is dawning. Andy.San, already my hip, Andy's waist is getting stronger. Hew. Actually, Hilda.Sensei's massage was effective from time to time. In the river at dawn, we washed our faces, sheets and various places together. Yes, I was indeed sleepy. I needed to be careful not to accidentally attack my men in today's training. So, the three of you were satisfied. I asked that to the three cat beasts washing their bodies a little apart from us. As expected, the two young cat beasts raised their hands with their exhausted faces, saying, I can't do it anymore. However, Luna looked back at me with the usual expressionless face while bathing in the water naked and said, now it's impossible. I will come again when the full moon arrives. Maybe I'm not pregnant. I see. I don't know how to judge. Would you go back to the colony if you were pregnant? Apple listened in earnest. Luna pondered. Few seconds. Dozens of seconds. Few minutes. Since one child is not enough, I will come again. Luna stared at Apple. Or rather towards this tension. I'd like you to finish it somewhere else. Unpleasant. By all means. Yup. And Zeros and Hilda shrugged their shoulders. What? If you're going to be near Andy.San, you have to wear a collar like this and become a female slave. Apple pointed at her collar. Female slaves were not common even in Celesta. It was an abnormal word. But Luna thought otherwise. Where can I get it? No, wait a minute. Don't let the number of female slaves grow on their own, Apple. By the way. I hate studying. If you run away, I will contact Grandpa and you will return to the colony, alright. Older sister is a demon. Mikagami's younger sister was made to study standard language, society, and morality every morning and evening under Mikagami. I wondered if the female core building was good enough, although there was certainly a room left. I thought so, but it seemed that Diane managed to do the procedure well. Well, it's a reassuring thing to have her as Apple's bodyguard. Diane, who said so seriously, was solemn. The appearance of the core is becoming more and more unsteady. About half of it was your work. I'm sorry. Chapter 98. Fall in love with an elf and protecting armor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I've been sneaking around every time I came to Polka lately. Jackie.San, how about this? There is no loosening of the tack, right and left balance, good. The rest is to dress the person in question and adjust it. Yeah. It was a piece of armor dressed in a wooden form. It was completely self-made up to one plate, but of course, it was not elaborate. I was doing it at the beginning of the week and my own skill was mediocre. Moreover, I followed Jackie.San's instructions, who did not practice at a proper armor workshop. There was no room to make a design that worked well. Breastplate and waist armor, not much different from the armor worn by Keel and Johnny. I would like to put on a gauntlet and a shin pad, but that was a part of the wearer's preference, including the choice to not wear it. Did you also make a helm? Many ace knights can't wear it, but after listening to their tastes, I guess. I see. That's it. Completed. Pan. I hit my hand on Jackie.San's hand. I made the high point 5 as I would have been blown away if Jackie, who was an ogre, hit my hand. However, nothing changed the joyful expressions that we finally did it. You did it. I really wanted to get the help of my dad. It was a promise we made when I was a kid. In collaboration with Jackie instead of my dad, I made my first Sword Saint armor. No, it was not Sword Saint but Ace Knight. Of course, the wearer was, and Zeros, please come here for a moment. Yes. Inside the inn's cafeteria, after completing the fight training with Diane, I caught Zeros, who had tied up her hair with her bath set aside. What? Ma, maybe, I'm sweaty now. After I got to the hot spring, I took and pulled Zeros' hand, who misunderstood and had her cheeks dyed red. You can enter the hot springs slowly later, so please come with me for a little while. It's just a little bit. It's about 10 minutes. You're so desolate. No, it's not what you think. No, I brought Zeros to Jackie.San's workshop. Well, in front of this person. Calm down. There's not much reason why an ace knight would be called to the workshop. New collar. Is that so? No, it's different. I made armor for you. It was a small armor for Zeros based on black to match her old armor. The design was really mediocre. There was nothing nifty about it. Speaking of strength, I used materials that were as light as my wallet allowed. This, Andy. Half of it was done by Jackie.San's hand. No, half is half. Andy.Bakken is really skillful. Zeros reaches out to the new armor that seemed to have a fingerprint. Armor tailored to me. I don't know who made the previous armor, but it was too big. You wore it and became an ace knight. I think you can do better with proper armor. And Zeros used to wear a black breast armor once in a while to hide her small, swollen chest or to store her long hair. Since it was broken, she came in light clothing like engraved leather clothes, but an armor suited the orthodox swordsman and Zeros more. I tried to do my best so that I could achieve a reliable defense without being too cool as a swordsman so as not to obstruct the movement as much as possible. It was in accordance with N0's specialized in high-speed combat. Try it on. Well, but I smell like sweat. You'll sweat so much anyway, I will make final adjustments while you're taking a bath. Okay. N0's removed the clasps, lifted the armor that came with a sizzle, smiled with a flushed face and wore it on her own as if to check slowly. She was struggling with her hair and tried to put it in the armor. So I approached her gently, put my hand on her neck and put all her hair out of the armor. Ah, it's okay. That's all fine. Yup. Next, she wore the waist armor. And Zeros took the short sword which was for sale that was around and let Jackie check it with his eyes and then hung it on her waist. It was part of trying on, not getting it. Then bringing a full-length mirror, and Zeros was reflected in it. The orthodox swordsman was complete. Wow. You can't be impressed only by the appearance. Try moving a little. Yes, and Zeros pulled out the short sword and swung it lightly. Then she walked lightly and stepped back and forth. Wow, an armor that fits your body and is so easy to move in too, that's why I always told you I can always customize it. Can I move outside a little? Yes, it's your armor. Then N0's nodded happily, went out and dashed, jumped, and flashed her sword. Then, shockwaves repeatedly emitted from the air toward an empty plane. Ahahaha. She put her sword in the sheath, landed with laughter and spun around in front of me. Thank you, Andy. I am so happy. Well, I'm glad you're happy, but that adjustment. This is enough. She was originally violent with a strangely sized armor, so she may not be sure of her dissatisfaction. And Zeros, yup, make a slight backflip. Shall I try it? Yes, and Zeros' athletic ability was about 3 turns in the air rather than backflip, but I let her do so. Stretching her body, putting her hand on the ground, she landed with a slight flutter. Did you have any trouble with the arm operating range? What I can do with this armor is a new dimension for me. Really? But, the left arm's shoulder armor is a little stiff. Really? I checked hurriedly. Shapes and joints should be perfectly symmetric. Maybe N0's had a different left-right balance. The dominant arm had more power obviously. What about the waist armor? I've never worn it before, so I'm not sure what's wrong. However, I'm a little late for the bounce. In N0's case, it might be better to make the waist protection lighter. I made it with great pains, but should I remake it into a scale-type skirt? It would become lighter and would be able to follow the movement of her waist depending on the lining. Actually, I made a prototype of that type, so I could customize it. Okay, take a bath and wait. I'll do it properly in the meantime. It's okay to stay here. Understood. I waved my hand to N0's, who cared too much about me. The armor that N0's took off and the prototype scale skirt was put together in a wooden form and fine-tuned. I also tried to paint it lightly. Black scale waist armor and imposing curved chest armor. I couldn't deny the mismatch for a moment. Bakken. Jackie.San laughed with a grin and presented an old flea. I see. Should I make a scale-like work on the breastplate? Nice idea. Haha. It's not my idea. Jackie showed me the flea pattern. My father's name was carved on it. I was wondering if I could somehow join something from Master Smithson to the joint work. When I was looking for a tool that could be used for finishing this time, I found this. I see, I grabbed the flea. I felt like my father was encouraging me as if coming out of it, trying to fulfill my duty. Sorry, Jackie.san, can I stay here tonight? It's hard to do it overnight. I don't have much time. A notice of reorganization was coming soon. If we officially undertook the investigation at the demon territory, there would be no more time to play around with armor like this. Draw a drawing of the work. Let's take turns. Jackie.san, is that really okay? I think it was my job. Thinking about it, Jackie laughed at me. As you said, I made half of the armor. I wanted to work with Master too. When Jackie saw the flea, a few tears came out with a nostalgic light. I nodded. As we expected, the work took the whole night to be completed. I thought Jackie.san's polite finish and my best of paintings had finally created a cool armor. I made fine adjustments to the left shoulder. Hua, thank you, Jackie.san. Ha ha ha. I'm really sleepy, Bakken, you can take it with the wooden form. Ah, yeah, in the dim light at dawn, I thanked Jackie.san politely and carried the armor up to the inn by holding the entire wooden form. I intended to make it lighter, but it was still quite heavy. Cool, and Zero's is so great to be able to wear it so lightly. Someone's hand picked up the wooden form when I said that. Ho! It's an unexpected meeting at a time like this. It was Layla. You. Don't worry. I was just immersed in the hot spring. She could hear people's voices even from a distance. Perhaps, while I was talking with Jackie.san, she was watching from somewhere. No, she was listening. However, I was thankful for the help because it was a body that fluttered at dawn. Shall I take it to the inn? Yes, thank you. Don't worry about it, but it's an armor that looks as if it's me. Ha ha ha. Armor with black scales. That's right, as I was told that. At the inn, and Zeros, Diane, Selenium, Apple and Aurora woke up and were waiting. Andy. Why is everyone awake? I was a little surprised. Ahem, dark elves are good at night. Sometimes we don't sleep. Diane said something like that. When it was spoilered, Selenium sometimes went to peek and reported what Andy was doing. As Apple told that everyone was waiting without a lid, Diane looked uncomfortable. But I was a little happy that everyone was worried about me. By the way, Hilda and Maya put Jean to sleep, so don't blame them. I won't blame them. I laughed a little at Layla's follow-up. It would be natural for no one to be awake. Nevertheless, favoring only Zeros is not good. I also want something. Someday you will hit with a sword made by me, so wait patiently. Aurora originally had a style that did not need to wear armor, so I didn't know what to make for her. I'd like a ring anyway. Perfect for my ring finger. I will think about it. I made a proposal and isn't it bad? And then. Can I try it on? And Zeros touched the armor and turned her eyes towards me. I nodded. And Zeros smiled happily and began to put on the armor again. Selenium and Diane also helped, and an ace knight in shining armor appeared immediately. Ho! I missed this again. And Zeros looks good. The scales are wild and wonderful. Andy.san can really do this. Mew, I wonder if I should aim for physical strength and fighting style too so that I also can wear armor. Everyone was complimenting Zero's appeal. After all, it was a little unpleasant that there was no gauntlet or shin pad, but Zeros was still happy and laughing. Thank you, Andy. I'll take good care of it. Listening to those words, I took a quick breath and said, no, with great care, the difficulty increases. It was the deciding line of the master of the workshop where I was training. Someone who cherishes armor on the battlefield isn't a good fellow. A courageous man would be muddy and full of wounds, even on the battlefield. Come again after breaking it. I'll fix it as many times as you want. The master said so and sent out young swordsmen who were still in armor. On the other hand, there was a guy who said, I'll come back to tumble, but the opposite is true. Armors are tools that save lives. Can't take care of it, can you live longer? If you're preoccupied with the first class, then you're cool. Well, if you've got a mess, you can't help, well, I'll ask you for excuses, so take it before you can't wear it. In short, the master was just fond of preaching, but the figure that corrected the swordsman's back with that line was very cool, and we were able to remember it while mimicking the line. What? When I talked about the story of my master, imitating him, everyone smiled. You are a man who imitates people. Am I praised? I'm praising you. I thought they were your words. Diane gave me subtle praise while sipping on her cold tea. Well, I was certainly good at the decision lines of the bearded sword saint, or in quoting of other people's words. Okay. I'll do my best to make it tattered. And you will fix it. And Zeros shyly stroked her chest armor. I nodded. Now, you should sleep well. I remembered being up all night when Layla said that, and I yawned a lot. Good night, Andy.San. Actually, I'm also a little sleepy, so let's sleep together. Nah, say, Selenium.San. If that's the case, you just slept. I'm really sleepy right now. I was taken to the bedroom by everyone. From there, as I was really sleepy, I fell asleep instantly. When I woke up in the afternoon, all three were naked and straddled me without permission. In the evening, when I went to Jackie's workshop to say hello again, there was a female elf with a ponytail. It was that Renfanga's knight with an impressive black gauntlet. Nah, why, you, Andy Smithson. You're. I might have forgotten her name and thought for a while. It's Sharon. Ah, it was so. Why are you here? Sharon pretended not to see me and said so. I felt a little bad, but if I showed a hostile intention from here, it might be bad for Irina. I know the store owner. Why are you in this place? This is a blacksmith. If it's about swords, the Red Clan can help you more. I know it even if you don't say it. I'm here for armor, not for a sword. The other day, I broke my armor during monster hunting, but the people in the northern forest don't use armor. I hadn't seen Gorkas or Deal using armor. That's why I am looking for a substitute armor. I don't think there is any stock of armor at such a remote blacksmith. At best, there might be a repair of the armor of the guards and the Baron's collection. There was no way to make a new armor without anyone's size, and if you were not in a hurry, the price would not change that much. No, unfortunately, I already found something good. What a regret. Hoo, Sharon laughed meanly. Why is she so hostile to me? I hadn't done anything wrong with her, right? I mean, there was armor. I used to come all the time, but I didn't know there was so much armor. You'll know how much your attention is. Sharon shook her ponytail and stretched their chests and pointed at something. That's it. It just has a perfect size. I looked at the direction she pointed at. Bikini armor. Made by me. That. Since I used it as mischief to Diane, I had Jackie.San take care of it as it might be useful for something. I wonder why an armor with this design can be found in Trot. It's not so unusual in our country. It's not bad for me, is it? When I was silent, Jackie.San's wife came out from the back. I'm sorry, I don't know the price because I don't have a price tag or a book of materials, but for now, about 300 gold coins. No problem. Sharon looked at me here and paid the money while being proud as if having won a battle. And then. Can I wear it? You want to wear it? No problem. As I thought something, Sharon started wearing the bikini armor in the fitting room. And a few minutes later. It may be too irritating for this country's soldiers, but this kind of armor isn't so awkward in Renfangas. She exposed her bikini armor figure to me. Apparently, Sharon thought that I was silent all the time because I was surprised by the ignorance of the country, and she seemed to be proud of winning against me as much as she liked. However, as it was, it could develop into an international problem. Even if she was a master knight class person. You know, actually, I was the one who made it. What? That armor, I was the one who made it by hand. Therefore, I see, however, the belly cannot be changed to the back. No one wears it anyway, so it won't matter if I buy it. Sharon tried to leave like that only, even though she became a little red as if she was embarrassed by my action. Wait a minute. It's better to go back in normal clothes. Or you will be called a female pervert. This is common in Renfangas. Don't worry, don't impose your sense of the countryside. No, wait, as it warmed up, the engravings that had a see-through effect made her boobs visible. Farewell, I'll see you soon, with a smile, Sharon forcibly terminated the conversation. Her breasts were already transparent. She walked to the forest through the town as it is. Hey, Smithson. Dono, what did you do to the talkative woman? After a while, Irina asked me with a suspicious face. She was so angry with you. I haven't done anything, I was not at fault. Chapter 99. Elven Circumstances of the Southern Country. Jean. Irina, you are listening at novelfull.audio. An unusual guest came to the inn where we stayed every time we came to Polka when we were having lunch together. I have heard it from the forest elves, wearing a bikini armor and a black gauntlet and having a ponytail. It's Sharon, a elf girl from Renfangas, who talks a lot. You are the lowest man who uses women with sexual weakness. I was the only one who laughed and all the other members sighed together. Get used to it, Andy. Because you have left a little monkey like Phaser in the forest, he'll be talking about it sooner or later, Diane points out with a butter on a slice of bread. No, I guess so. I don't remember holding any other weaknesses. When I puffed up my chest and told Sharon, Sharon glares at me, while grinding on her teeth out of anger. Making such kind of mischievous armor, it was a coincidence that Jackie.San put it out in the first place, and it wasn't something I set up for you. Sharon's bikini armor is now wrapped around a cloth. It's like a swimsuit that has a hot-looking feeling. If the pattern is broken a little, it will no longer function, but there may be little knowledge about the pattern in doing so. I wouldn't have worn it if I know it's transparent. It's comfortable to wear. It has to be transparent. It seems complicated to say. You know, it's fine if you wear clothes inside. Sharon glares once again when Apple advises. I can't wear such an embarrassing thing. Is it more embarrassed than that I can see through your breasts? Renfangas's fashion sense is incomprehensible. Ho! So what are you complaining about when our owner is sexually enamored with women? Layla, who had finished eating early and sipped alcohol, asked Sharon. Is that all right? Sharon hitting the desk with a bang. Everyone looks up. And look at Sharon. I should have asked your complaint. With all the others wondering what to say, Layla corrected the story. That's why. I'm not complaining about getting fucked every night. Me too. The two dragons are completely shameless. Well, I don't want Andy to. I don't want to compromise on love. I just want to be a better woman for Andy than any other woman, and Zeros and Aurora are still pretty even if they are blushing a little. Well, I thought that being Andy's slave was fine from the beginning. Half-elf sisters, no sisters, but Apple and Selenium are quite easy. Seriously, Andy.Kun is matchless, but he isn't skillful enough. Celesta's proud erotic female doctor takes care of my self-esteem in plain words. No, there is certainly no skill, so that the opponent faints in less than a few minutes. I just like that guy. It's natural to protect that guy. I thought it would be obvious if it's a woman like you who is also a warrior. Diane goes straight on and talks straight. And shall I comment on it, too? Atmosphere that Jean eats maternity without saying. Sharon gets angry again. There was no one who accepted a general theory such as possessing a woman. Silver hair appears as if it grows from below. In essence, the members of the clan council in the world of elves came to greet the strongest elf knights of Renfangus, but on behalf of Smithson. Dono, who is a human but weak and inferior, don't you feel like you've teased him enough? White Clan's Irina. Sama, Irina picks up the fried chicken from my plate. Don't eat without permission. Different. When Irina asks repeatedly, Sharon makes a sound from the back of her throat and stretches her chest. I wonder if the pink Ariela is looking through the gap made in the winding cloth of the armor for a moment. Indeed. It's humiliating to return from the northern forest, the sacred place of the elves, by choosing an incompetent human who can only fuck women as representative. But more than that. Sharon pointed at Aurora. What does it mean that you, the sky. Blue princess, spread your arms and legs in a slutty way to a human? Slutty way. Aurora has a startled face. If you are an elf, take pride as an elf. If you are a princess, take pride as a princess. If you are an ace knight, what about pride as an ace knight? That speaking, I heard how Aurora grinds her teeth out of anger. She stands up unintentionally. Wait, Aurora. No, I won't wait, Glory. Sharon, those words are an insult and provocation against me. All right, go to the table, so wait. Diane, Layla, and Zeros, give me a hand. Aurora tries to rampage by taking out her sword. Layla and Maya were forced to hold her down, but Diane and Enzeros stared at Sharon with a serious, temperature-less look. Very proud, black arm. Yua, it's the crazy voice of the time when Enzeros was insulted in the past. Elven princess and ace knight. Don't look so self-conscious, Glory Clan's princess. Did you investigate, Black War God? There aren't many elf black arms. I had a glue from the moment I saw you. I've been a soldier for a long time. Diane stood up and wasn't rushing at all, but she was a few meters away and pointed a food knife between Sharon's eyebrows. But if you continue to insult Andy Moore with that mouth, I won't forgive you, Diane. Sama. It was Aurora who stopped Diane's intimidation loudly. What? Sharon steps away and Diane looks at Aurora in a slightly grumpy way. Aurora stood up by pushing Maya and Layla away and resolutely looks at Sharon. Glory Clan's Sharon. I have the obliged to concern about the sky. Blue Clan. Aurora that exudes Sharon's venom with a soft smile that doesn't seem to have been killing her until now. But it doesn't change that my husband is him. What is the value of a clan and class in the criteria for choosing a man? Sharon, on the other hand, corrects her seating posture, coughs and says calmly. Sky. Blue princess. If you listen, you say that the growth period is not over yet. That's why you should stop getting blooded by childish love. Humans and elves are creatures of different heights. Different creatures of time. But you are a woman who has a talent that can be recognized as a martial artist at that age, and you can't afford to play with vulgar monsters and impurities by having a sense of vulgarity. So the fall of glory is also because of its worthless nature. With a soft smile, Aurora suddenly curses Sharon's clan. I beg your pardon. It's my hobby to listen to the stories of heroes and famous swordsmen from all over the country, Glory Clan's Sharon and Felios. You siblings who went up to the top seat of heroes with your abilities and without a master for the first time in the direct lineage of glory, right? Yes, Arcus, armed with meaningless pride, not coordinating with the surrounding disparate nations, and thus without help from anyone, was sculpted in the Fire Dragon War. The fame that you got in the Gauntlet Knights is the last pride of the Arcus royal family who lost their centripetal power. I know you're going to have to take it easy, you just say unnecessary things, not as much as you, smiling, now two noble bloodlines are sending sparks. And this is a form that was completely taken private by Aurora, right? While shaking your hips for a human, etc., it is unforgivable to insult my homeland. Please withdraw, Sky, Blue Princess. Why? Aurora asked back with a friendly smile. Sharon is seriously coming. Why, there is no reason. Withdraw, hoo-hoo. You're a stranger. If it's different from the fact, will you withdraw? Just before Sharon pulls out her sword, Aurora quickly erases her smile. It was a few times scarier than her angry face. Let's duel, Glory Clan's Sharon, Ace Knight atmosphere. Now, it's the easiest choice you can take. There are 4 people who are stronger than me just here, anyone. Anything that fits this black arm. Really, ho. That's good. Diane and Layla are about to stand up. But Aurora controlled them with her hand. That's why I don't want to hear your excuse when you crawl on the ground. Goo, awesome. Aurora completely turned Sharon's bloodthirst at herself. Literally a complete clash of personal pride. She can't lose to this, but she also can't succumb to the opponent's case. But, as said in the first place, Aurora doesn't even compare to N0's, as she has an average ability as an Ace Knight. Sharon, on the other hand, is a black arm. Although the selection criteria are different, she has a Master Knight class ability as a nominal. A Master Knight is an elite fighter and is considered to be more than 3 times as powerful as an Ace Knight. Regardless of Diane and Layla, she has a very low chance of winning against Sharon. What is she going to do? Knight. The match will be in 2 weeks. The army's reorganization is this week according to Diane, so it's not after that. Irina organized the decisions in my room. The people who attended the meeting were Gorkas and I. You only have to come to see it. What's the matter? You know, Irina, I was on the bed with Jean on my lap and stroking the big belly and her breasts. Of course naked. Read the air for a minute, I don't care about particularly. Don't you think that it's normal to have 3 or 4 people in bed? You didn't rise up in bed and Jean and I were in a good place right now. And Jean is already stable and Hilda.San gave me a certificate answer with, you can do it properly, so for the time being, we became naked and stuck together and after a long time we shared the warmth of each other's skin and I touched the big belly. Does it kick you? Yes. Do you think it's a boy? Or do you think it's a girl? What about the name? Everyone thinks about it. We have a lot of friends, and we're going to have a name meeting every time we have a child. That's fine. Oh, it kicked me. It says it wants to drink daddy's milk. We are already having a lovey-dovey sweetness. There you can see the report and really read the air while looking at the gun while rubbing the semi-erected penis between the thin thighs and the lower end of the stomach. Mew. Bed, why don't you let me join? Irina says a little lonely. No, not today. Today is Jean's sex day after a long time. For a while, Layla and Hilda were in charge of the consultation and only today I was supposed to do it again with Jean. As usual, when I created the atmosphere and I cummed first, Jean was lonely. The amount of ejaculation can be adjusted by Hilda.San, but fatigue in terms of physical strength and mentality is not easy. So it is an agreement that it is also pair that no one will approach me for a few days ago, and since there should be a child in Jean's stomach, there is no intrusion so as not to loosen up, so each person is informed of adjustment. I haven't made love to Jean in earnest for months and the stress that Jean feels is considerable. That's why today was all about making Jean happy and trying to make an economy for childbirth. Mew. Jean stares at Irina while swinging her stomach on my penis. It looked like she was dissatisfied rather than being jealous, or a little confused. It is not good to put a mental burden on Jean. Jean opens her mouth first when I tried to call out Irina as soon as possible. Is only half. Is it good? I was a little surprised. I thought that Jean would be intimidating. Is it okay, Jean? We are alone today. Be you. But now if I'm alone with Andy, I'm not confident that I can satisfy you. Andy always, if you do it seriously, you'll make it so intense that you faint, right? Well, I've refrained from it since she got pregnant, but Jean is quite a masochist. She is happy that her light body is treated like a special tool for my penis, and she is happy to be messed up with selfish sex. But such sex is not possible now. There is our first child in her big belly. No, I don't need to be satisfied in the first place, and it's better to get as comfortable as possible with the sex that Jean can do. No, I'm fine. Jean has been waiting for a long time, so that's why I'm going. When I asked Polka's wives, they said that if you go crazy, it may flow. Apparently, the relationship with Polka people is progressing steadily through open-air baths and daily life. No, it's a difficult child anyway. It's a great opportunity. And, Irina, is a friend. Is that so? When I asked them with my eyes, they dyed their cheeks a little bit and nodded with a bit of a shy smell. On that subject, Irina is one of few in Polka when it comes to a woman who understands the circumstances of Jean, her relation with me or a foreigner, and can talk to an equal relation. I deliberately let Layla stay for a long time, but did Irina care about Jean? Well, she sometimes told me about Jean's stomach. Thank you, Irina, I didn't make friends because of you. Irina, who says a little squeaky, is so cute, and I nod to Jean and reaches out my hand. Irina deliberately sighed, then loosened her belt and took off her robe. With the big belly on me, Jean straddled me. Jean's hands are crawling on her breasts, which have swollen slightly, perhaps because of her pregnancy, and Irina sits down to hug her from behind. It is your second time having sex, but you're pretty aggressive. Irina is a lecher. It's not going to be that way. You're always there every day, anywhere. Irina is refuting and stimulates Jean's nipples while turning red. Reacting lightly, Jean smiles, sat down, and tries to insert the dick. However, the stomach is in the way and she can't determine the exact aim, and she adjusted the accuracy with her hand inserted from the side, but she felt uneasy about whether it would go well. That stomach, sorry. I will try to sit down again. Yeah, alright. Jean raises and lowers her waist several times. Repeat subtle adjustments. And when I think of this, I push up my waist. Kiao. Entered. It's not like that, is it? I abruptly. I inserted it into the person behind by mistake. I'm going to just throw one shot into Irina. Rough. In any case, Andy is not satisfied with 3 shots and 4 shots. There is room for more. Wait, I'm still not ready. Hayao. Jean pushes Irina up with her waist. And I stab in while pulling back the floating waist. And with the movement that Jean knew, she pushed Irina up and I pierced her again. Ignoring Irina's intention completely, we were just swaying at Irina. Jean, it is still the 6th time. Irina, who did you do it with without my knowledge? Jean is slightly surprised and a little jealous. Nah, I have been fucked 5 times the last time. Ah, that's right, it was a difference in the counting method. I'm a little relieved. Boo, but it is good strength now, too, and Irina seems to be strangely compatible with me. Jean looks at her back with scornful eyes. If Irina is a masochist, you are similar to me and Maya. I'm not a masochist. I grabbed Irina in a hurry and collaborate with Jean on high-speed riding vibration. No, like this, come, Somehow it feels so easy. But I look at Jean, have a close eye contact and continued. She claims to be inexperienced and is a nasty girl who is unreachable if I don't know yet. Hiya, no, little while, no, hiya. Irina's articulation becomes strange as she is pushed up by force while she is in the middle of an acme. Then, when Irina begins to make a movement that I don't know if she's shaking or dancing, I ejaculate. I ejaculate a violent amount into Irina's vagina. It is so, because sperm hell magic was previously applied by Hilda. Hiya. And Irina was tossed around by that amount of injection and hugged Jean tightly and endured it till she fainted. As I laughed with Jean and said that the operation was successful, Irina regained her consciousness and was immediately angry again. Idiot, don't put it out without saying it. I forgot, it's a good thing. Mew, the groaning Irina is in close contact with Jean and begins to shake her hips in revenge. Revenge. You'll be able to enjoy the instinctive movement of my hips, SM, Smithson. Donna will soon be a servant. She might be a child who is comparatively confused about starting doing it while putting my penis in her. In addition. Even if you say that, nah. Jean, it's your turn. I inserted my dick into Jean's vagina again and started to fuck Jean together with Irina, who became serious. However, Jean sticks out her tongue happily and doesn't hate it at all. No, she loves that because Jean is a masochist. That's right, Andy just feels good. She is a roundabout guy. Then, after moving violently, I pour my sperm into her big belly. Naya. It's been a long time, even though the conditions are different, I'm really used to it. Jean climaxes in the feeling of a dream as a large amount of semen washes her vagina. Amazing, Jean and Smithson. Donos, sex. Next is Irina again. Wait, let me rest a little more, I pour about 3 shots into each of them. I was really hungry and used more physical strength than before, so that Jean, Irina and I sleep together. I'm happy. Yup, Jean's sleeping face was really peaceful. If a child can be born with such a body, Irina suddenly murmured that out. Were you scared that you could give birth with your body? Nah. No, it's not true that a child can be born so easily. It's a new thing. Irina's pussy that already received a vaginal cum shot leaks a little. Be careful next time. Absolutely. Next is absolutely going out. She is desperately saying that she is willing to let me come again, this lowly elf. Chapter 100. Formation. Diane Special Duty Corps. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 100. Formation. Diane Special Duty Corps. Maya's blue wings gracefully swayed the atmosphere and landed in front of the Crossbow Corps building on the outskirts of Basan. We were used to riding in a carriage and the Corps members saw the landing from the window. But there was a fellow who wasn't used to all this and was super happy. Fast. And Celesta is still wide. The silver-haired child, visible, elf, Irina. Are you sure you're glad you brought her here? I don't think there are many people out there who are aiming for Irina. That's why there are Maya and me, and occasionally, Diane laughed lightly. She was a kind person. So that everyone knows me, I'm Irina, the White Clan head. You can rely on me at your own discretion. When Irina greeted everyone at the entrance of the barracks, everyone welcomed her and those with a troubling preference got excited. I thought I'd never see you again. She is dangerously super cute. She won't lose to 10-man Captain N0's. Idiot. If you compare two individuals, don't forget Jean-Chan. But Jean-Chan is already caught by Smithson's poison fangs. Wait, everyone. 10-man Captain Smithson brought her, didn't he? She is an elf. Isn't there something? Speaking of that, it seems that the armored elf, which was at the spring festival for a moment, had a pink atmosphere with 10-man Captain Smithson. Everybody listen. I've imagined a horrible thing just now. The excitement began to turn in a strange direction. Mikagami began to worry about N0's, shrugging her shoulders. Please tell me, Irina-chan. I don't like being called with the chan, but I'll forgive you for asking questions. Have you been raped by the bastard, Smithson? What are you guys saying? No, well, that's not wrong. What Smithson? Dono, you by some chance, are you touching the story of the women he held? And Irina seemed to have never thought about acting for a while. I wanted you to deny it lightly if you could. I gave up and ran away. You're a devil. A real devil. Following Jean.Chan and 10.Man Captain N Zeros, he put his hands on another girl without hesitation. Catch him. Life and death are not asked. Life and death are not questioned. In a sexual sense. That's a scary way to say it. The idiot members chased me with tremendous momentum. The usual chase began. Diane moved unusually. That. Uoo. Her leg hit all the members. Then she raised a voice to me and the other core members. If you have time to do stupid things, clean up the barracks a little. The reorganization summary is probably this week. The resignation will be a replacement of people. You'll be ridiculed by the next person. That's right. The reorganization was not just about increasing the number of friends or changing the name of the corps. Even parting. There were fellows who transferred to another unit or retire. I might have retired this time and resumed blacksmithing. A few more days. Time was important. Everyone stood up and returned to the barracks with a little embarrassment. I would also help with the cleaning. And Zeros.San, Diane.Sama. Can you get along with sword practice? In such an atmosphere, only Aurora didn't break the tensioned air. Well, that's right. I mean, was it a good idea? A few days later, the messenger arrived and the reorganization was confirmed. Diane's in Special Duty Corps. It's a relatively secret project because they can't afford to publicly declare the details of their mission. They don't have a sense, but that's the name. From today, I'll be a 100.Man Special Duty Commander. Then, RI and N0's 10.Man Special Duty Captains. Temporarily. About 10 people, led by Diane, were selected and a Special Duty Corps was established. A Special Duty Corps was literally a unit dedicated to special missions. Since authority was expanded only for that mission, special duties were added to the head of this position. Special Intelligence Brigades and Special High-Speed Brigades that reported directly to the central headquarters were permanently designated as special duties, but such temporary designations were not uncommon. The privilege of a Special Duty Corps was that the action schedule was more discretionary. Of course, it was a privilege, but it did not change to military service, so it was essential to submit a plan or report before or after the event. But depending on the purpose of the action, it would be accepted even if they took their own action for a considerable period of time. When it came to overseas exploration like this time, that right was absolutely necessary. So the members are me and N0s. Aurora is also officially incorporated. Selenium and older sister should be treated as a regular soldier and special officer. What about the other 5? Charon, Gotu, Lance, Boyd and me. 10.Man Captain Charon was a lazy but unusually strong fox beast. Regular soldiers Gotu and Lance were called the masturbation brothers who pulled out even when pulling out in public. Associate soldier Boyd was a 1.Horned ogre with a beautiful girlfriend. It was a very subtle selection of people. Isn't there anyone like Isaac? Isaac must continue to maintain the crossbow corps as a 100.Man commander. Together with Williams, they plan to increase the crossbow corps to 200. Mikagami and Bronson will be there. I see. Is there really a role for each talented person? That's true, but isn't it better to leave Boyd by Isaac? Well, I thought so too. If N0s trains him well, he can become an ace knight. I see. Charon, Lance and Gotu were relied on as crossbow soldiers but were not suitable for close combat. As long as you didn't know what the search would be, Boyd who might serve as supplementary forces for close combat could sometimes become a trump card. Then, it's bad for his girlfriend in Ba-sun, but, do you really want to take Boyd with us? Yes. And there were Layla and Maya as extra forces that could not be reported to the military. If you aligned this much, it was easy to search for monsters. It was a force that could be expected in each of the specialty fields though it would not go. Surely it would work somehow. Nshana, Smithson. I don't know what you're going to do, but your room will be empty. I will rely on you. All my companions, including Apple, who were not going to take the exploration itself, would follow Isaac and Mikagami. Williams was promoted to a 100-man commander and Bronson became a 10-man captain. They were named the 2nd Crossbow Corps and seemed to continue protecting Ba-sun together with Isaac's 1st Crossbow Corps. It seemed that they would expand the barracks on their own and welcome new friends who would arrive from far away. Apart from that, 20 people seemed to leave Ba-sun after all, including those who had been transferred to Supply Corps and archers, those who were transferred to the infantry and those who retired. It was a lonely story, but they also had their own talents and lives. Please come home as soon as possible from the special affairs. Because it's 100-man Commander Diane's Crossbow Corps. Don't worry. I've arranged for Dark Elf soldiers to make up for my magic tactics. Do it well, 100-man Commander Isaac. Yes sir. Isaac, Mikagami, and a number of soldiers came to see us off by saluting with their right fist on their left chest. Good luck, 100-man Special Duty Commander Diane. Good luck. Listening to the reliable chanting, we left Ba-sun in Maya's carriage. I'll do my best. And then, come back quickly, Isaac, no 100-man commander, please protect Ba-sun. Boyd said that with a little tear in his eyes. I'm counting on you. Diane said so and Boyd and Kairon also saluted. Don't you have good subordinates, Diane? They are proud subordinates. Diane proudly spoke to Irina's words. The first destination was the capital city. For the time being, I was immersed in the aftermath of the reorganization and N-Zeros and I took Aurora to the arena, guiding Boyd and the others, who were renewing their feelings, to the hotel on the way. First of all, Aurora had to learn how to fight Sharon. For now we have 100-man Commander Grants. That person will teach you swordsmanship. Yes, it's a good thing. And there are surely a lot of sword saints in the Royal Arena. It's going to be a good training session. I'm looking forward to it. There were 3 reasons for visiting the capital. The first was Aurora's training. Aurora didn't have the impression that she wasn't good because she worshipped N-Zeros. In fact, she had the potential to spur a growth rate comparable to N-Zeros. Even N-Zeros had to learn from excellent teachers and continue fighting to reach her current sword ability at the age of 24, but Aurora was only 17 years old and antagonized it. The poor handling of a shockwave could be supplemented with magic which she was much more proficient in than N-Zeros, and even in engraving, she had a growth rate that could be a good match even to me. The rest was stamina, but it was already a huge amount like N-Zeros and high enough compared to me and Kieran's stamina as normal crossbow soldiers. There was a possibility that if she had a good teacher that opened her eyes, she might make a big leap forward. Second reason was the information on the messenger of Renfangas who had come to this royal city. Third was to get the map of the northern 6 kingdoms before it became the demon territory that should be in the Royal Academy. Both information would be difficult to obtain. Well, as long as we can get it. We are here too, but it would be nice if Diane and the others also get results. The problem was that none of them were uncertain. There was no confirmation that a sword saint who could become Aurora's teacher would be free when I drove to ask for a lesson at this time. And the messenger of Renfangas might have returned home after visiting the royal city. Furthermore, the information before the birth of the demon territory might have been thrown away because it had little meaning now. In addition, it was suspicious whether an investigation was done seriously 300 years ago or not, and even if a map was found, it was likely that it was a picture map closer to an image. Trot also had a weak point that such old information tended to deteriorate because long-lived races had no power. It was undeniable that everything was only a story that intertwined the expectations sought to, hopefully, it. I haven't seen Grants.Sensei lately. In the arena, where N-Zeros once had a duel, there was nothing to do with the guards. But there was a regrettable talk about the fact that 100-man Commander Grants wasn't there. It doesn't have to be 100-man Commander Grants. I wonder if there is a great sword saint who can teach me swordsmanship. When N0 asked the guard, he shook his head powerlessly. Even after Ruth ascended the throne the other day, the great sword saints who were called the old generation and had been focusing on training the next generation, began to refrain from doing that. This reminded me, there were many great sword saints that worried about the future in that fight. If it was a technical exchange, I would be pleased if the young ace knights who are present can practice. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to go along with other people's training. Aurora didn't have much time. It can't be helped. Anyway, it might be better than not practicing. N0s.san, get ready. Yes, I understand. The two entered the waiting room of the arena while showing frustrated feelings. When this happens, only Maya and Diane would be able to practice tightly. Then, it was a good idea to reduce the burden of Diane's investigation. Selenium, an apple, as well as Irina may be useful. I ran out of the arena, thinking of the three faces that might be able to help Diane. On the way to the hotel, I saw something unusual. That's why you can't pay with a gold coin like this, which I've never seen before. Isn't the color roughly strange? Isn't it a counterfeit? Even if you say something like that, that, the castle can pay for it, why does the castle have to pay for travelers? If you ask me, I will go bankrupt if I was the king. The girl looked to be a traveler because of what I saw, but somehow I had a different feeling as her whole body was covered in clothes. No, should I say a woman? A woman who was 16.17 years old, looking a little lost. Did she eat and drink in the middle of pushing the questions and answered in the table, even though she could wash the dishes? But she was a clumsy person. There was no way you could get into the castle. Anything else I can give you? What about the thing on your waist? Even if it is rotten, that sword can be about the cost for a meal. This is no good. I don't know. The girl was a little funny and cute, so I decided to give out a helping hand, remembering that some money was given with the reorganization. Hey, boss. I will pay the bill. Really, older brother? Are you sure? Yes. How much is it? 70 gold coins. She had eaten quite a lot. Even if it was in a cheap dining room, it would cost 10 gold coins. You are sure? The bill payment ended with the puzzled woman being silent. Sometimes it felt good to do good deeds. I don't think there's anything in the castle that you're looking for. I preached to the girl with the creditor's privilege. However, the girl bowed her head in a hurry and laughed happily. I'm very sorry about this. Please give me your name. Even if you know it, I will leave soon, so it won't matter. That's right. That sword is important for you, but do you also have the skills? Yes. Extremely. The woman puffed up her chest. It seemed that she had quite a splendid chest for a short person. No. I have a friend who needs a little special training in swordsmanship. Can you come with me? It would be better to have more practice partners. She nodded vigorously when I added, she's ace knight. If that's what pays you for your kindness. Yes. Then I would rely on you. What's your name? You didn't tell me your name, so isn't it a bit mean? Haha. I'm Andy Smithson, 10-man captain of the Celesta Army. I'm Mia Grand's hero. What? I am a hero. I wondered if I picked up a little girl.